There we go, that's what I'm looking for. Okay. Yes, everything is good. I was trying to make sure I wasn't forgetting something important. Yeah, hello, Gabriel, it's been a while. Sorry, I also kind of had to stop streaming for a bit. I switched that right? Okay, yes, that is the right scene. Let's go. Yes, it's pretty epic. I need to unloop this song. I'm just gonna be listening. This is all I listen to every day. My phone is buzzing. There we go. Actually, this month, I've had to take 2 weeks off streaming for separate reasons. It's kind of rude. The first one was because it was like the finals week for like the last classes I need to graduate, and I had a lot of stuff I had to do. And so I'm like, I literally don't have enough hours in the day to stream. And the second one is I ended up getting sick and like having to go to the ER and was like, I'm not streaming for the next week because I physically can't. But we're doing mildly better. I'm doing mildly better? I don't know what we're doing. I keep referring to myself as we today, and it's just... I don't know. Grab my soda. Ha, yes, okay. I've got a really fun stream planned for tomorrow, but like, I don't know how much I should talk about it, but like, I'm so excited. Oh yeah, man, I just was not expecting my health to absolutely tank, and I thought I'd have more time to like prep for this stream, but then I ended up being at the doctor's for like multiple hours today, and I was like, this is not the energy I need. And why does my phone keep buzzing? Literally none of this I care about. Oh, okay. Yes, okay. I'm excited for tomorrow. I really am. I've got a stream planned that's gonna be so much fun. Because you know it's April Fool's, and I've got something very fun planned, and I can't wait. It's gonna be great. And I also am gonna upload a YouTube video tomorrow, which is fun. Yes. Okay. Okay, what am I? I need to close. Yeah, okay, that needs to get closed. Okay. Yeah, okay, so that's kind of some stuff. I'm actually doing like a special stream next week. Like, it's not in my normal schedule. So like Tuesday, like the 6th, yeah, so that's in like a week? I know math. I understand time. I'm gonna be doing a baking stream for my birthday. I'm gonna make myself a birthday cake. It's gonna be miserable. It's gonna be miserable because I cannot have dairy, milk. Wait, Those are the same thing. I cannot have milk, soy, and wheat. I'm gonna be baking a cake. It's gonna be fun. It's been a nightmare to try and set it up though, but like, it's gonna be so much fun. It's gonna be worth all the pain and suffering. Yeah, I appreciate like everyone. I hate the face on this drawing and I can't figure out why. It's a stupid nose. There's something wrong with this nose and I don't know why. I personally just despise noses. That is what this drawing has taught me. And I've got a couple other games planned. I don't know. Oh, you're getting a haircut? Oh, hi Day. Thank you for popping in for what you can. I hope your haircut looks great. I hate noses. Why do people have noses? I wish some of us weren't born with noses. Thank you. Oh, man. There we go. Drawing looks great. Clown nose. I'm just drawing a clown nose. Because I don't want to look at the stupid nose any longer. Oh, yeah. That's... Yeah, I cut my own hair. That's why my hair looks bad. He's a clown now. I'm just adding the clown nose because I don't want to look at my stupid nose I drew. Yeah, I was like, oh, let's just do normal, just chatting. But then I'm like, I can talk for a lot, but like, I vaguely like having things to do. Okay. I need to just stop my phone over there. So, yes, anything like fun happen? Do anything cool? All I have been doing is like, what have I been doing? I was doing something interesting and I'm like, oh man, I need to tell stream about this, but I forgot what the interesting thing is. I just remember wanting to tell stream. Oh, man. This is the wrong layer. That's why it's looking weird. I was so confused. I figured it out. I'm smart. I have like 12 dots in IQ. I don't know, man. I literally just... That's where I'd be at. I need like multiple coasters for the amount of drinks that I consume. I'm a liquid human being. That doesn't make sense. Yeah, okay, yeah. But next week, I think I'm gonna do like, yeah, but the extra like baking stream for my birthday because I'm turning 18 and it's gonna be so fun. And by that I mean literally nothing about my life changes except for the fact I have to be the one who talks to doctors. But like, I guess it's something that's happening. And like, cooking streams and baking streams are so funny. Okay. Those hands, this one looks good, this one looks diseased. They both look diseased. And that's just because I suck at like skin tones apparently when I was trying. Okay, that was a frame drop and a half. My like things per second is like, it dropped to 0. Why is my internet like this? I am going to riot. I don't actually drink that much soda. It's a pretty rare occurrence for me, but when I do, oh boy, I do. When I was in middle school, I went to a friend's like party or something. I forgot exactly. And they had like Mountain Dew there. I drank over 11 cans of Mountain Dew. I really needed someone to stop me, but no one was able because they all thought it was funny. Man. I'm gonna talk about this every single stream because that's just how my brain works. But like, I'm getting a new PC in, I think it'll be here early May or something. And I will finally be able to stream like Minecraft and other games like that, and I'm so excited because that's the kind of content I want to be making right now, but I physically can't because my computer is like set on fire, burn, haha. Man, Coca-Cola is good though. Like it's probably one of my favorite sodas. I don't know, man. Yes, yes. Okay. I might switch playing games depending on how if my internet improves. Yes, I will be getting a new PC, so hopefully my streams will stop doing this. Cause like my poor laptop, I have pushed it past everything it was designed to do. Oh man, Coca-Cola is good, man. I think about like one day I won't be living with my family who's like, you can't drink caffeine. One day I will be free from that. What will stop me from just entirely just consuming soda? What will I be able to maintain like self-control? I think about it sometimes because I'm like, I like to believe that I would, but at the same time, like, that's a lot of faith to have into myself. And I don't know if I have that. I'm still dropping brooms like mad. That's so rude. Genuinely rude. I'm going to cry. Cry. Oh, yeah, man. I just... Like, what's gonna stop me from making bad decisions when I don't have, like, family members who will be like, oh, what are you doing? That's... You know, at one part it'll be extremely freeing because I'll be able to, like, film stuff without having to answer as many questions, and I'll be able to like stream more because I will have less people that I'll have to coordinate like internet usage with and stuff like that. But at the same time, like, that's a lot of like responsibility and like junk, you know? Okay, recently a bunch of people who I haven't spoken to in like 5 years have like recently reached out to me, like wanting to like reconnect or something. And I don't know what to tell them because it's like, sir, we had one class together like 4 years ago. Why are you talking to me now? What do you want from me? I get so like paranoid because I've had too many like experiences where someone reaches out to me and just completely like derails my life for like 4 months until like I decide like, hey, this is really just making me miserable. I need to stop talking to this person again. Like, I get the whole like reaching out to old friends, but at the same time, like, it's been so many years. I don't want to talk to you. That sounds so rude, but like, it's not though. Like, especially the one that reached out to me, and their profile picture on like every website is Sans. I don't know if I want you in my life again. It's like, are you just messaging me because in middle school you liked me and you feel weird if you don't admit it? Because that's happened before. Or are you just messaging me because you're bored and you remember I exist? Or like, do you just want to like cause chaos? Do you want to relive middle school? Anyone who wants to relive middle school, I am distrustful of. Like, nothing good happened in middle school. I'm sorry. You know, middle school in general was not good. Might have had some good moments, might have had some good people, but overall, middle school bad. You know, I don't think it's rude to like. I straight up messaged the most recent one who messaged me, and I'm like, what do you want? And they're like, oh, I just want to reconnect to old people we haven't spoken to in so long. And I'm like, okay, why was I included? We had like 2 classes together and had like a chess class together. We did a chess club together, and you hated my guts. Why are you messaging me? Don't you have friends? It's strange because it's like, I'm about to graduate. Like, I get it if it was like, you know, I'd get it if like I was a freshman or a sophomore and you're like messaging, like that makes sense. But like, it's been 4 years, man. It's been 4 years. What are you trying to accomplish? I really just, I'm curious because like if they're just gonna be like, oh, I saw a photo of you and thought you looked cute and wanted to talk to you again, I'm sorry, I don't care. I don't have time for that. You know? And it's like, I don't want to have to spend all my energy for the next like 3 weeks getting reinvested in this relationship that ultimately will just cause me like, you know, pain, and like I won't gain anything from it except for, you know, the knowledge that like, hey, maybe the people I knew in middle school should stay there. Maybe there's a reason we haven't spoken in 4 years. I don't know. I just don't have time for like other people's like crap, because like I'm barely the same person. Like, I'm the same person. Wait, how do I phrase this that makes sense? I'm not the same person that I was in middle school. I'm so not. I have changed drastically that a lot of people who knew me in middle school, if they run into me, they're like, I didn't know that you were the same person. I wasn't sure. Because, you know, I have changed a lot. So why are you messaging me? That's my real end all be all question is, why do they keep messaging me? I just want to live my life and you're not a part of it. I'm sorry. That sounds so rude. I've just had so many bad experiences with people from middle school reconnecting and then just turning my life into an absolute like miserable like just experience for a couple months. And I just am tired of it. Because, like, I didn't really have friends in middle school. I more so had people that tolerated my existence and hung out with me. Because I barely spoke. I barely talked to people. I just kind of, like, barely functioned from moment to moment. And, like, you're reaching out to me because you've got this, like, strong memory of me and you want to reconnect. Like, I'm sorry, I'm doing good now. I don't have the time or energy to get reinvested in people who will just decide that I'm not the same person I was in the past and that they no longer want to reconnect. I don't know. I don't know. And also it's like, they're not even like good friends. They're like people I vaguely knew. Like mild acquaintances, and I'm like, huh, you're really just flipping through the yearbook and picking random names at this point, aren't you? That sounds so mean. I don't know. like, you know, at least when I reach out to people, I usually give them the courtesy of being like, hey, I'm reaching out to you because of blank reason, rather than just message them out of the blue of like, I don't know if you remember me, but I was wondering how you were doing. That's the thing, is like, if you're gonna message me, like, can you please ask something besides how are you doing when we haven't spoken in 4 years? That'd be nice. I don't know. That soda is flat, and it tastes a lot sourer when it's flat. Man, I don't know. That's one thing I've realized over my years of life experience. Haha, I'm so old now. It's just I don't have time for other people's like crap. I don't have time to put up with other people who just want my time and energy. Like, I'm tired of constantly getting into like one directional like friendships where they only talk to me when none of their friends talk to them. Like, I'm just there, you know, in case all their friends are busy or at work. Like, I'm tired of that. Like, I'd rather hang out with people who want to hang out with me as opposed to me just being a convenient option that isn't being alone. You know? And like, if that, you know, the quote unquote like amount of friends I've had has gone down over the years, but like the quality of friendships I've had has only gone up, you know? Okay. I'm drinking water because I'm healthy. Not really, but like, yeah. And also it's just a lot of people don't. I'm tired of getting invested in relationships and then they find out that like, oh, you're disabled, or oh, you have mental health issues, or oh, you won't date me for this reason. And then they just disappear out of my life, and it's like, sir, I thought we were friends for like 4 months and you just completely disappear from my life the moment you find out that I have no interest in dating you. It's happened over and over and over, and I'm just sick of it. And so like, yeah, I spend a lot of time alone because I don't seek out like relationships with people often, unless like, I don't know why I'm wearing headphones. I'm not listening to anything, but it feels weird if I don't, but at the same time, I don't know. You know, it's like, I'm tired of being the one who has to initiate every single friendship and every single like hangout with these people. You know, I just want to like hang out with people who want to hang out with me instead of, you know, the whole endless cycle of getting to know people only for them to dip out of your life because you don't fit into the box they thought you did. I am very salty tonight, apparently. Oh, man. And, like, maybe I should be more open to, like, hanging out with people and spending time with people who I'm not already super close to. But at the same time, like, it takes so much energy and time and effort and stuff for me to be able to open up around people enough to become friends that if it's just gonna fall apart in, like, 2 weeks, there's a lot of like energy and effort that I just don't have to expend. Yeah, you get the box thing. Yes. Oh man, it's the bane of my existence because a lot of my times people look at me and they think one thing about me. And they're like, oh, you must be exactly like this. And then when I'm not like this, and when I refuse to become like that, they just abandon me. Or they desperately try to mold me into being that person. I grew up religious, and there was a good couple years where I wasn't religious, but I still, sort of had that, like, I kept up that sort of image just because it was easier on me. And one of the first people I ended up dating, one of the reasons they liked me is because I had that sort of image. And once they found out I wasn't religious, and once they found out a couple other things about me, and that I wasn't willing to compromise on those core pieces of myself, they, like, dumped me and said a bunch of junk behind my back because I wasn't the person they thought I was. And it's like, you're not willing to get to know me unless I already fit who you think I am. And I just got sick of that, And, part of it is just, like, I've got pretty bad anxiety, and so getting to know new people takes a lot out of me. And just constantly just have those relationships just fall apart because I'm not who they thought I was, or, like, like, I'm sorry that I'm not that religious girl you thought I was. I'm sorry that I have hobbies and interests that don't fit with your, like, consideration of who you think I am. It sucks, but, like, I'm just being who I am, and, in the past I used to, like, completely roll over and become exactly what these people expected of me. Because I thought it was easier at the time, but, like, it crushed my soul, and, like, took so long for me to, like, get over that and start becoming my own person. Because I'm like, I may as well just be exactly who they want me to be, because it's obvious they don't like who I am. I was also, like, going through stuff, like, I was majorly depressed, but no one would believe me. And everyone was telling me that if I was just a better person, then I wouldn't be depressed, and that all my problems would be solved with God. And when they weren't, that it was my fault. It's a lot of junk of, like, I don't like, I had a lot of people who used religion in ways that really hurt me. I'm not saying all religion is bad. I think religion does a lot of good for a lot of people, but for me personally, it's not my jam. It's not my speed. And religion was one of the biggest things where I just never could meet up with the expectations, and, I never fit into any of the boxes they gave me to fit, My end goal in life wasn't to become a mother, and that made me, somehow wrong, Like, but, religion's a complicated thing, and I have a lot of feelings on it. Just because of the positions I was put in it by, that people used religion to put me into. I don't know. And it's just, and also, like, oh, this is kind of like backtracking, but it's okay. I did, like, end up talking with some of my middle school friends again, who I hadn't spoken to in a while. And I'm like, man, you really just continued going down that path. You never once, like, reconsidered your decisions and, like, changed things. Like, I have improved and, like, figured out where I wanted to go with life, and the rest of you are, like, you're sitting alone in your bedroom just drinking because you're depressed and you can't figure out what to do about it. And that's the same way you were 4 years ago. And that's the part that really, like, upsets me, is, like, seeing these people who, they really haven't been able to change or fix things in the, like, 4 years I haven't spoken to them. And it's upsetting, but at the same time, it's like, I'm overwhelming in my pity. I've decided that, like, instead of, like, being upset at the world, I'm just gonna, like, do the best I can, and you're still in that same mindset you were in middle school. I don't know. I feel like the most important thing we can do is, work to improve ourselves and, become better people. And, if you're just sitting idly, just hoping one day the world will get better without any work or effort, like, how can you expect it to change if you're not doing anything? How can you expect your life to get better if you never work to make it better? What color is Wilbur's eyes? I need to know. I forgot. I think they're brown. Please tell me. Are they green? They're light brown. Thank you, Google, thank you, website that says he's a TikTok star. Oh man, I really love Wilbur, man. Wilbur is one of my favorite content creators. Okay, yeah, they're brown. My favorite TikTok star, Wilbur Soot. I don't know. I'm planning on playing more. I'm planning on finishing Chrono Trigger. I forgot that the endgame is hard and takes a lot of time. So I may just do like an 8-hour stream and just like be like, I'm streaming till I finish Chrono Trigger. I could actually do that next week. Chrono Trigger thon. Streaming till I finish the game. Oh, that'd be fun. Though I can't wait for my computer to be good enough to play Minecraft because I've got so many ideas that I want to do, but I physically cannot. You see, I don't mind suffering in the sake of content. I think it can be very funny. I think my longest stream I did was, I think it was like 7 hours. He's starting to roll. Oh man. That's wild. Okay, if I started at my normal time, what time would I finish? I have to do math. Okay. It'll only be 2 a.m. That's not that bad. It'd probably take me longer than 8 hours, not gonna lie. My stream started at 2 a.m. UK time. Oh, that's fun. You should... Is your sleep schedule okay? You want to talk? Yeah, I start at 6 p.m. my time. Man, that'd be funny. I have like spring break. I have like spring break next week or whatever. That's why I'm able to like consider doing this. And one of my classmates was like, "Oh, hey, what are you doing for spring break? Doing anything fun?" And I'm like, "Oh, I have live streams to do." And they're like, "Oh, that's interesting." And I'm like, "Yep, I've got special streams I planned." And they're like, I'm going crab hunting. Like, that's cool. I don't know what crab hunting is. I assume you're hunting crabs, but like, I don't understand. And we ended up talking about like hunting or something. Working on stuff anyway? Okay. Good. Sleep schedules are good, man. Or like, I don't know. Man, every time I have to mention that I do live streaming to a new person, I'm just waiting for the funny response they're gonna have, because most of the time, you get the weird things of like, you get the people being like, "What's live streaming?" And then you get the people who look at you really funny are like, ah, you're doing something really sus. And or you have the like people who look at you and be like, just so confused. My favorite reaction though is like people who just like they just look at you for a minute, like blink a couple times and just nod and just quickly change the topic. It's funny. My least favorite are the people who actually know about streaming and they're like, oh, what platform do you stream on? Blah, blah, blah. What kind of content you stream? I'm like, sir, I already feel weird talking about the fact I stream because I'm like, oh, am I being obnoxious and like self-promoing? And I'm like, no, they literally asked like what you do. What is your hobby? What is, you know, they asked, it's fine, but at the same time I feel bad and I don't like being like, oh yeah, here's my Twitch link to people because I just, it'd be weird. Oh man. You know, I should say content creator because like I've done like filmmaking stuff for years and there was a podcast or two that I attempted to do and a bunch of other stuff in the sphere of like content creation, and I've got like a graphic design internship right now, and so me telling them I do live streaming usually doesn't throw them for a loop. They're like, I can't wait till you work at McDonald's. It's like, you know, they've already given up hope on me. The worst reaction though was the one that stressed me out the most was trying to tell my mother that I wanted to do streaming, because she just flat out did not respond and went back to like playing her video game, and I'm like, mother, please, mother, please give me an answer. And eventually I did like corner and is like, hello, I am doing streaming whether or not you like it, and she's like, okay. She only let me because she's like, oh, one day if you make money, buy me stuff. And I'm like, mother, that's probably not gonna happen, but okay, if you're gonna let me stream because you think there's a chance that I can make money, thank you. And I feel weird like promoting my Twitch to my real life friends because it's like I don't want to have all of my like followers just be people I know in real life because that's weird. I don't know. Like I'm not like ashamed to stream, but at the same time it's like I don't know, man. Oh yeah, when you know, I have decided if they're willing to lie to my face and be like, oh, I believe in you, you can do it, I'm just gonna let them. I'm just gonna take their words at face value. If they're being sarcastic and snarky, like, too bad. Don't care. I can do it, thank you. I don't need your validation to do things. Man. Man, I'm continually dropping grams. Always and forever. I need to stretch. You know, at this point I'd rather say like, oh, I want to be a YouTuber as opposed to being like, oh, I want to be a streamer, because I don't know why, but like I feel like more people are starting to gain respect for YouTubers just slightly, because I remember in middle school telling people like, oh, I want to be a YouTuber, or like I want to like make content or whatever, or like I do a YouTube channel, and I just remember the amount of like, haha, good luck, you suck comments that I got from like real life people, and just like I don't know. I don't know where I was talking, what I was, I don't know where I was going with this or what I was talking about. Okay. I don't know if I like this drawing. I'm trying my best, but like it just isn't looking good. Okay. we're just gonna do some, like, other drawings. Wait, no, that's... I'm giving up this drawing. Yeah, I get that. I tend to overthink a lot of things. But, like, this is the one thing that has been a consistent thing in my life where I'm just like, I don't care if you believe in me or not. I'm just gonna do it. And, like, if I'm not funny, then I'll just learn how to be funny. Oh, it's okay. I can't spell anything, man. I try my best, but, like, it ain't working half the time. You know, honestly, like, if, I don't know if I've said this before on stream, but Wilbur Soot, his content was the content that made me... I forgot to change the go live notification. I'm upset at myself. But that's okay. Okay. It was watching his content where I'm like, man, you know, that's not... You know, I could do that if I really wanted to. I don't know if that's stupid, but, like, you know, he was the first content creator where I'm like, huh, like, if I get good at video editing, then I could do that. Because I started watching him back in, like, Soot House, and I'm like, I really just... He's one of my favorite content creators. Okay, I'm about to expose myself. I will read you I sent a DM to Wilbur in, like, 2018, because I don't know why. I was going through a moment in life, and I'm like, this content creator changed my life. Not like in the, like, oh man, they literally changed my life, and it was more like, they changed my mindset and made me believe that the dream career I want is something I should try to pursue. Let me open up this stupid DM. I have to switch to, like, an old Twitter account to do it. Okay. Yes, it was October 2019. Oh man, yeah. Okay, yeah. This is it. This is embarrassing. Why am I doing this? I'm exposing myself. I don't care. I just want to say, I was watching one of your streams, and there was nothing I would cut from it if I was editing a highlights video. And, like, that's one of the best compliments I can give. I really love your personality. Like, you're so funny and genuinely nice. Keep uploading and streaming, even though I can't catch your streams due to time zones. Lol. You know, it's cringy, but at the same time, it was just... That made me realize that, like... These YouTube videos and these content that I really liked was streaming and just people being themselves. And that, like, I don't know. And just his video editing was always something I was really inspired by, and his whole, like, ARG he did was just mind-blowing to me, because I'm like, you know, I'd been told my entire life to, you know, give up on all of my, like, content creation, like, dreams, and, like, that making content and, like, doing creative writing and stuff was always a waste of time. And that I should be focusing on something more profitable, something better, you know? And to see this person who's just truly, like, just pursuing all of the things he loves and just succeeding at it really just inspired me and made me realize that, like, I should pursue the things I actually want and care about. That was right around the time I had to drop out of a, like, super heavy math and science program due to, like, physical health issues. And I was kind of at a loss because my entire, like, plan for my life was just out the window, you know? And I say my life, I really meant, you know, the next, like, 4 years of my life was just out of the window, and I didn't know where I'd be or what I'd do or what to do. And just Wilbur's content at that time just made me realize that, like, if I tried really hard and pursued creative stuff with all my passion, it wasn't a lost cause. I could potentially, you know, succeed if I just tried. And I hope that's not like a weird crossing line thing, you know, in terms of like boundaries and stuff. But it's just they were the first content creator who I saw and was like, they have an achievable, you know, like they made me think that success was achievable being like a normal person. I'm using the wrong brush, that's why this looks bad. No, you're okay. You're just vibing with what I'm saying. And it's just like, he felt a lot more human than a lot of the other content creators that were, you know, online and that I had watched and viewed before, who just, they felt so foreign to me in the types of people they were and the content they made. Because I always felt like I was watching content that was not made for me. Because I was super into, this is gonna be so embarrassing to say out loud, but I'm gonna do it. In middle school, I watched a lot of like hacker trolling, you know, like Minecraft hacker trolling videos from like Jack Sucks at Life and like Scappy. Those were two of my favorite content creators. And I always had this distinct feeling that this content was not made for me. Because, you know, I was like 14 and a girl, and this content was so obviously aimed at like younger, like teenage boys. You know, it was aimed at like 12-year-old boys, and I always, reading the comments and like watching the videos, I got this distinct feeling that this isn't made for me. Why am I enjoying it? You know, I always had this like shame about it because I'm like, this isn't content that's made for me. And Wilbur Soot's content, you know, was one of the first content creators where it's like I could watch them without feeling that alienation of like, this content isn't for you. You shouldn't be enjoying this. Because it really was just, you know, it's all of the stuff he does is just extremely creative and exactly what he wants to do rather than, you know, like, yeah, of course there's a like target audience in mind, but it feels more like a work of like creative freedom rather than just making YouTube videos to appeal to a audience. And like, I'm sure they enjoyed making the hacker trolling videos. They both since stopped. But at the same time, there was always that barrier if I felt like this content would never be for me. Whereas with Wilbur, for some reason, his content just clicked, and it wasn't like, oh, this content is targeted at me. It was more like, this is content that everyone can enjoy, you know? I don't know. I don't know. And just, I'm kind of rambling, man. I just have a lot of respect for the things he's done. In terms of like his content and stuff, man. I was thriving in the like Dream SMP, like the like Pogtopia arc. Like I was thriving. Yeah, I used to have like a real soft spot for like some of Jay Schlatt's content, like his weekly slap. Like I binged the entire thing and just had a crisis and like reevaluated my life because I'm like, man, he has some good things to say. It is like newer content. I don't know how I feel about it, but like, yeah, you know, it's that sense of like connection, you know? And it's just, most of the content I've watched, you know, I haven't had the, you know, like, ability to feel like this content I can enjoy. Because, you know, no one's target audience, most people's target audience is not me. I'm just straight up not most people's target audience who, like, want credibility, and that's like the toxic, you know, like junk of anything that girls like is deemed lesser and unnecessary, you know. And you know, with the whole rise of Dream SMP and like Dream, you know, I have a lot of thoughts, but I'm not going to get into them. But one of the biggest things is it was like the first time that I really noticed just how many people were like me. How many girls had already been watching the same Minecraft content, but just never felt like they could be a part of the conversation. They never felt like it was made for them. But they've always been there, you know? Man, and it's like, no matter what I watched, I got mocked, you know? And when I, like, said, oh, yeah, I watch makeup videos, I got mocked. If I said, oh, I watch Minecraft videos, I got mocked. You know, if I said, oh, I watch modded Terraria Let's Plays, I got mocked, you know? And it's... And I hate the fact that, like, everything I did and consumed got mocked. But at the same time, like, because of that, like... I'm no longer, like... I don't care anymore, like... Yeah, I watch other content that a lot of people think is dumb, but, like, it's not. I once said, a long time ago, to a friend, I don't think you can, like, enjoy something ironically. Because, you know, the people are like, oh, yeah, I just watched it ironically, or I'm just enjoying it, you know, because it's so bad. I don't believe that's real, because I think there must be something about it you enjoy. If you're willing to spend so much time... My voice is dying, give me a second. Okay. Seasonal allergies. Okay. I don't think you can, like, ironically enjoy stuff, you know? Like, I used to watch, like children's TV shows because I loved the fact that they weren't... You know, there was a happy ending, you know? I liked the fact that things worked out in the end, and there wasn't, you know, some deeper, like, insidious part. And, you know, like, I'd hide behind the defense of, like, oh yeah, I binged the entirety of Sophia the First because I was mocking it. But in the actuality, like, deep down, I really enjoyed watching the show. And I think a lot of people really enjoy stuff, but they just feel ashamed of talking about it because they feel like they're gonna get mocked. Like, you know, when I was 10, I got bullied for watching My Little Pony. Like, I was a 10-year-old girl. Sir, I was the target audience. Why were you bullying me for that? Like, yeah, I get enjoying something because for the things that it's not, you know, weren't intended, but, like, you're still enjoying the show. And it's just, I watch these people be like, oh no, I hate this show, I just watch it ironically because it's so bad. And then I watch them, how much they care about the characters and how much they care about the show itself. And it's like, at one point, does it stop becoming ironic? I think it's a lot sooner than people will be willing to admit. I think that just too many people are shamed for what they like. And that's led to a lot of people hiding stuff that they enjoy. Like... And is there something wrong with watching something that isn't the best because you enjoy it? Like... I like watching... I don't know, I enjoy watching stuff that's... and, like, reading books and stuff that are written by people who obviously, like, don't really know what they're doing, but they just love it so much. And, you know, you can tell there's someone who really cares about that, like, thing, you know? Even with, like, the cash grab TV shows, like, some of them you watch them and it's like, you can tell someone really, really cared about it. I don't know. But that's my personal belief, and everyone's entitled to their own, like, interpretation and opinion and feel free to disagree with me. Like, I am not the end-all be-all of opinions. I am not necessarily right all the time. I'm not necessarily wrong all the time. You know, we each have our own experiences, and they've shaped the way we see things and the way we talk about things. And the people I've listened to who talk about media have shaped the way I interpret media. And it's the same with you. Like, media changes the way we perceive the world so much. Yeah, you know, and like, I love watching some shows and read, like, I like going, this is embarrassing to admit, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I used to go on Wattpad and read people's, like, self-published novels. And, like, yeah, they're bad, and the writing's clunky, and the story is poorly outlined. But there's a level of, like, passion and care of, you can tell these are people who just love writing. And they're just writing, and, you know, they don't care if anyone reads it. You know, they're not necessarily writing it for an audience. They're writing it because they love writing, and it's what they want to say. And I love that. That's why I read those, because, background on me, I've had a lot of experience in the, like, world of authors and the world of, like, book publishing and that kind of thing. I'm not going to go too specific because, you know, personal reasons, you know? And I've heard all the drama and junk that happens behind the scenes about authors, and I've read, you know, self-published books that later got picked up and republished, and I've watched authors who started out loving writing and slowly grow to, you know, no longer enjoy it. They're not writing because they love it anymore. They're writing because they need to. Because they have to, because it's just reading books, watching, you know, the author's love for writing just slowly change, and it's no longer that same, like, I don't know. I'm getting depressing and off track, aren't I? I just really love watching things that people really truly care about, and that's the kind of media I want to see more of, is people making things because they care about it. I guess I read a lot of graphic novels, and it's one of my favorite mediums, because it's something you can make almost entirely by yourself, and you can tell a lot of powerful things. And, like, yeah, of course there's the cheap chat, like, cash grab, like, you can tell that they care about it, but there's no, like, greater, deeper meaning to it. You have, you know, the romance, like, love triangles, you know. But at the same time, like, I read a webcomic that was about letting go of other people's expectations and, you know, learning to find the magic in life and, you know, stepping off the path that other people told you should go on. And it changed my life, you know? A lot of people would say I use the phrase changed my life loosely, but I don't think I do, because, you know, it may not be, you know, a big, grandiose, like, life-changing, you know, like, moment in, like, a movie where, you know, the characters, you know, but it did change my life, you know? It changed my perception on a thing. It made me stop and think about something that I have never seen. I'd never thought to think about in that way, you know? It changed how I chose to make decisions in the future. And, like, yeah, I was reading a webcomic and, like, sitting crying on a futon for an hour, but was that not any less of a life-changing moment than, you know, the first breakup I had, or, you know, the second breakup I had, or the third that's a joke. Yeah, no, but, like, is that not a life-changing moment? Because it's like, life-changing moments are the moments I look back to and say, yeah, that's when things changed for me. That's the mark of something new. That's when that chapter of my life opened, you know? But that's part of why I love graphic novels, is because one person can make them, and they can say a lot. Like, at the same time, they can say a whole lot of nothing, and they can be very, like, poorly made and just and, like, enforce a lot of negative stereotypes because it was made by one person, you know? But at the same time, like, it's fine. We're talking about the benefits of the medium right now. Hi, Danny. It's been a while. How's it hanging? I have no idea what I've been talking about for the past hour. It's been an hour. I don't know. Like, that nose is so bad. What do noses look like? I don't know what noses look like. I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna have a breakdown. I'm already having a breakdown. I'm not having a breakdown. That is, in fact, an over-exaggeration. You know, like, noses look like nose? That doesn't... I don't know what noses look like. Yeah, it's been an hour already. I don't know what's happening. I'm trying my best. I really just want to make this drawing look good, but I'm struggling because I don't know what noses look like, and I don't draw guys, but I want to finish painting this because I started this like 2 years ago, and I really just... We're good, we're calm, we're thriving in this here economy. Yeah, I don't know, I guess I've had a lot of life-changing moments in terms of, like, my definition of what a life-changing moment is. Because I've changed a lot over the course of my life, and I've had a lot of moments which were big moments where, you know, like, the future of my life shifted based on the actions I made, you know? Like, let's see, what's an example that I can say without... I'm trying to think of examples that won't be too depressing or, like, too personal. Like, you know, often, like, my life-changing moments are also moments I regret a lot. Like this one, I consider it a life-changing moment, purely because... Stop spamming my phone, stupid people I don't care about. No, you know, it was a life-changing moment for me because of the amount of time I've spent reflecting on it and how my actions in that one moment have changed the way I've behaved for the next 3 years. Okay, so, set the scene. Freshman year of high school. I never dated anyone before. Never really wanted to. Well, that's a complicated issue. But I had this massive crush on my best friend. Who I had only known for, like, at that point, like 3 months or something like that. And there was this Halloween dance happening. And I'm like, that's fun. I want to ask them there as a date. I was like, they're never gonna say yes. They're never gonna say yes. But I want to ask anyway, you know? And I turned over them and I was like, I asked them, hey, what's your thought on, like, the Halloween party dance thing that's happening? And they're like, I hate it to the core of my being. And I just, like, pulled back and was like, oh, I'm gonna go stop in a corner now. And, you know, if I hadn't had that, like, moment of doubt and anxiety where I'm like, oh, what if they don't like this thing? And I ask them and they are like, oh, no, that sounds awful. I would never do that. You know, if I hadn't had that moment of doubt, how would things have played out differently? You know, if I just asked them then without doubting it. And it sort of became a life-changing moment for me because of... You know, I think back to that every time. I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this or not. I should just not, because what if it goes badly? I think back to that time where I walked away from something that I really wanted to do purely because I was afraid it'd go badly. And, you know, my own, like, nervous things ended up, you know, ruining it. Like, Is that, you know? I don't know what I'm talking about, man. I'm just kind of saying things. Ah. I don't know. And it's also like we change so much in every moment of the day. Like, you know, if some things that happened today, if the events of today had happened to you a year ago, would you even do the same way? Would you respond the same way? Would you act the same way? Would you if you lived the same day a week ago, would you make the same choices? I don't think I would. I think we're very malleable as people and we're constantly changing. Um, yeah. I've got really bad anxiety, and it's if I had just gone to them and just asked them to go without being afraid, that day would have played out very differently. That whole year would have turned out differently, but whatever, we're not. And it's just, I think we're constantly changing more than we perceive it to. It's like, we don't spend every moment of our day, contemplating how would I have done this 3 weeks ago? We just behave how we do, and each day shapes us a little bit more, and it's we may not change a lot from moment to moment, but over the course of time we change so much as people. And sometimes it's for the better, sometimes it's not. Sometimes we change so much we don't recognize ourselves anymore. We've so redefined who we are that, are we even the same person? I also this is probably me just projecting about my own experience, because I feel like a lot of the times I will just outgrow who I am, and I don't feel connected to who I was before. I'm the same person, but at the same time, am I? When so much about me has changed, it's the whole boat of Theseus. If I have a boat and I replace every single board of it with an identical board, does the boat become a new boat? Does it ever become a new boat if every single piece is new? And it's we're all boats slowly getting, each piece of us is slowly changing, and maybe one day half the boat gets replaced, or maybe it's just one nail. And it's just, I think a lot of people consider life-changing moments the moments when half the boat gets replaced. But for me, I guess, I consider a lot of the smaller moments to also be life-changing things, because it's I'm not the same person I was freshman year of high school. You put me in the same room with them, we're not gonna get along, because we're not the same person, So much has changed. So many of my views and thoughts and opinions about things have changed, It's a good metaphor. Thanks. I don't know. I was talking with my therapist, and they're like, you exclusively talk in complicated metaphors, and I'm like, I'm sorry. And they're like, it's fine. I don't know. I like metaphors a lot. Because I really struggle with, my voice is dying, and I need to stand up because my legs are asleep. I'm so cool and epic. I have a hard time communicating experiences unless they're in the form of metaphors or like poems and stuff. I used to write a lot of poetry. I write less poetry now because um I I'm doing better just overall in life, you know. Um and it's just like, and it's, you know, a lot of the times, you know, I'll make this big change of who I am. You know, a lot of me will fundamentally change, and you know, I'll like sort of like change my name to go along with it. Like, you know, it's a lot of just, you know, that name's no longer you, you know? That sounds probably pretty dumb to people who like their names. I don't understand what that's like. I don't, well, or maybe I do. I don't know. It's complicated. Of like, how do, you know, I grew up like kind of despising the name I was born with, you know? And, you know, over the years, just, you know, it sort of stood in for all the pieces, you know, all the parts of me that like people expected me to be. Um, you know? And so I just grew to, it grew to become for me just, you know, the representation of all the things that people expected me to be and all the things I wasn't. And, you know, the moment I like decided that like I'm gonna change what my name is to be who I want to be. You know, I'm gonna pick a name that is me, and that's when I started going by, right? You know, the amount of joy that gave me was just, I became a new boat. I became a new boat. You know. But man, I don't even know what's happening on the Dream SMP. I'm gonna be honest here. I don't know what's happening on the Dream SMP. I don't. It's fine, you know? Oh, man. Another, you know, this is actually relevant to what's happening. I can talk when I'm drawing, you know? A life-changing moment for me is I was, you know, on a swing set, blasting Your New Boyfriend because it just released, and I'm like, I'm just gonna listen to the song until forever. This is my life now. And I had that realization there that, you know, my life is mine. And I've been letting other people live it for me and choose things for me and make decisions about what I wanted to do. And I realized that, like, I have the rest of my life to live exactly how I want it to. And I should just start it now. Like, I was 17 and I'm like, instead of just waiting for, you know, waiting to be like quote unquote like old enough to, you know, like start making decisions for myself, you know, I just decided like, let's start living my life for myself now, you know. I'm just gonna do myself. So I chopped off all of my hair and I dyed it hot pink, and I switched all my ads to, you know, like Ikari, and I was like, I'm gonna start live streaming and making content because that's what I've wanted to do for so many years, but other people have stopped me or told me it wasn't a good idea or held me back. Okay, yeah. Stopped watching after this shot. So yeah, okay. My experience with the Dream SMP is I will open it up sometimes and I'll be like, what has happened? And then I get plot dumped and I'll watch a couple streams and then I'll be like, I have other things in my life that I need to do besides watching like 8 European streamers. I don't know. It goes in and out. Like, if Wilbur's central to the plot, I'm usually paying attention because I really like him as a content creator, and his character, Wilbur, is my absolute favorite character archetype. I absolutely adore that character archetype. Man, I like Ranboo, but like Ranboo streams too much for me to like keep on track of like what's a lore stream and what's not, and I I'm trying my best, but like my best is like existing, you know? I hate eyeballs look weird and creepy, and it's fine. It looks better than when I started, but like, does it really though? I have to check my phone for something real quick. Okay. Okay. I don't know. Man, I'm just like living my life. Okay. That's fine. I just kind of make noises at some point. Just I don't know. Stirring brings me so much joy, man. I want to continue with my Pokemon Nuzlocke that I started for the same time. Like, I killed 5 Pokemon getting the first badge. I don't know if I can handle, you know, the rest of the game. I don't know. I'm just living my life to the best of my abilities. You know, I spent a lot of time, you know, wishing that, you know, my life could be different. You know, wishing that, like, I didn't have, you know, this... Wishing I didn't deal with health issues. Wishing that, like, Dang it, I'm you know, wishing that, like, oh, you know, if oh man, if you think Pokemon Nuzlocke are bad, don't recommend Chrono Trigger Nuzlocke. The thing is, Chrono Trigger, I at least know how to play the game. I'm at least good, mildly good at Chrono Trigger. Pokemon, I suck. Oh man, I'm just pretending I like know what this part of the guitar looks like. I think it's pretty obvious. Okay. Oh, what was I talking about? I had something I was gonna say. No, okay, I remembered. I spent so long wishing, like, oh, you know, if only you didn't have, you know, if only you didn't have these, like, health issues, if only you could be a normal person, then you would be happy, you know? I spent so long wishing for things to be different that, you know, it made me miserable. Because, you know what? You're dealt this hand, and, like, that's the hand you have to play the game with, you know? Like, you can look at your, like, deck of card, your hand, and be like, man, if only I had a 2. And, like, sometimes the rule of the game, you know, through the game you can acquire a 2. And you can succeed at that if you try. And other times, like, you're stuck with the 7 in your hand and you can't get it out no matter what. And you just have to deal with it, and you have to live with it. Like, you can whine and complain to the dealer all you want. You know, saying, like, oh man, why'd you give me such a bad deck, you know? What did I do? Why is this the case? Or you can just live with it, you know, like, play the game, you know? So no matter how much you cry, you're not gonna get a new hand, you know? I just... like... you know... like... come on, brain, you can do this. You can do this. I can do it. Like, I'm disabled, and, like, I spent years being in denial and, like, you know, wishing things could be different. But, you know, the only time my life started improving is when I just kind of accepted it and was like, okay, we're going to make the best of what we can. We're going to do the best we can. We're going to live life, you know? We're going to play the game. You should write these down when you use. Go ahead. Free reign to use any of my metaphors. I just, you know, living your life for pity won't get you far. You know, sometimes pity feels nice in the moment, you know. It feels nice to have other people feel bad for you, you know. Especially when, for years, no one has, you know, like, actually listened to anything you said or ever given you the time of day. Pity can feel so nice. You know, it feels nice that someone is at least acknowledging that you're in pain. You know, acknowledging your problems. But at the same time, if you just sit in pity all day, every day, you don't grow. It doesn't get better. You know, the longer you wallow, you know, like, it doesn't get better. You know, like, of course you gotta wallow at some point, you know? Like, that's a necessary, like, first step for a lot of, like, coming to accept things is you gotta wallow. But then you gotta move on. You gotta continue on. You know? Like, I don't really like the mindset of, like, you know, just grit your teeth and get through it. You're, you know, just middle school's hard or whatever. You just grit your teeth and go through it. Like, you should try to improve things, and, like, things can be hard, and that's fine. But I kind of agree with the, like, sentiment, you know, because in some aspects, because it's like, yeah, some problems do go away when you switch jobs or when you move to a new city or you graduate middle school. But a lot of those things will carry on with you, you know? Just because you graduate middle school doesn't mean that you leave all the bad things that happened in middle school in middle school. Like, if you just leave all your trauma just, like, boxed up in the closet, it'll never get resolved, you know? That's like, you know, it's like having a box, you know, you're cooking and you made just absolutely nasty, you know, like, you made a tuna sandwich and you forgot to eat it for lunch. And, you know, it went bad, but, you know, you don't want to deal with it, so you just kind of, like, hide it in the fridge. And, you know, those leftovers stay there, you know, and they get grosser and grosser and grosser, and it'll take longer and longer to clean out that Tupperware. And you gotta do it sometime, but, like, you know, it's easy just to want to just push it to the back of the fridge and forget about it, or just leave that rotting pear in your, like, lunchbox and just, like, hope that, you know, one day you'll open up the lunchbox and it won't be there. But it doesn't happen that way. You know, you gotta, like, deal with things emotionally. You can't just pretend that the people who are mean to you in middle school were just fictional and that middle school never happened, you know? You've got to actually deal with a lot of that stuff. I don't know what I'm talking about, man. I'm just kind of talking a lot. That's what I do. You know, I don't know. I just... You know, and it's also just like... I hate that face so much. The nose looks better, but now the rest of the face looks wrong. I don't know what happened. You know, it's just... I feel like one of the worst things that you can do for yourself is just let yourself be stationary. If your opinions aren't changing, if you're not improving yourself, if you're not learning anything, if you're not working towards a goal, if you're just stationary, I think that's one of the worst things, personally. But at the same time, sometimes it's what you gotta do to just get through the week, get through the day, is just let yourself be stationary. But, you know, there comes a time where you have to start moving again. I need to stop. I don't know what is in the... I don't know why my energy tonight is just, like, chaotic self-help energy. And also is, you know, there's a lot of things which, you know, like the education system and stuff tell us, you know, that that's not important. You know, a lot of things are like that, you know, like maintaining like friendships and, you know, just doing things for yourself are really important. But, you know, it's fun because, you know, it's not quote unquote productive. But if you're wearing your way, if you're working yourself to death and you're wearing away every single moment, just desperately, you know, working to improve, you'll eventually burn out. And how is that more productive? I hate that whole mindset of you gotta be productive, otherwise you're just dead weight. You gotta be making money, otherwise, you know, it's wasted time. Because we aren't built to work 40 hours a day. We aren't meant to, you know, there needs to be like a balance. I really need to just figure out something to talk about that isn't weirdly philosophical. This happens a lot. I need to stand up and stretch, otherwise my legs will die. Ha ha. We're trying our best in this here economy. I don't talk about it. I keep mentioning the economy. And I think it's just a fun word. I don't know if you can hear me or not. I forgot if my mic picks me up over here. I really did. Yes. I think economy is a very funny word. I love being like, yes, government, economy, funny reasons, very funny, fun times. I don't know. Honestly, that's advice I need to take some days. Yeah, you know, it's also just one of the biggest things that held me back from achieving things is I was waiting for the perfect time. Oh, it does pick me up? Oh, I'm gonna cry. Oh, I was so confused why I wasn't hearing music. Then I realized I stopped my music like a while ago. I don't know. One of the things I really needed to just learn for myself is, you know, if you wait for the perfect time, it's never gonna come. You have to make the perfect time, you know? I was like, oh, if I wait till I'm 18, then when I do these things, you know, it'll work out, you know? You know, if I wait till I'm 18, wait till I'm 16, and just that perfect time in my head just kept getting pushed back. And so I never accomplished anything. Part of that was due to just factors that I could not control, but like a lot of it was just, you know, you wait till the perfect time, you wait till the creativity strikes you. It'll never strike you. Like, it might, but like, in order to write a book, it's not waiting for 1,000 afternoons of the perfect you know, the perfect like storm of like inspiration. No, it's a lot of sitting down and just forcing, just writing until inspiration does strike. It takes a lot of work to achieve your dreams. And like, sometimes you don't have the energy to do that. Sometimes it's just not functional for you, or you're pushing yourself too hard and you need to take a break. But like, that's something you have to think about and reevaluate, I want to work on the background because the background won't betray me. Betray me? I don't know what I mean. I don't know. Welcome to This Is Why No One Will Start a Podcast with Me, because I just get wildly philosophical like 90% of the time. Oh man. Oh man. Oh, I have a like philosophy I wrote one day when I had a fever. I had a fever. I was sick in bed and I couldn't sleep. And I'm like, I'm just gonna write out. I need to write down my manifesto. This happens pretty often with me. A podcast you enjoy. And I might have to do that. Why are people racing cars in my neighborhood again? I swear. Why do you keep doing this? People who race cars in neighborhoods, I don't like you. Some of us try to like do lives without you trying to have lives without you revving your engines every 4 seconds. I swear. Okay, back to the topic. I still want to make podcasts. I still do. I should really do that sometime. Just make a podcast. That'd be funny. Oh well. Okay. I'm switching title again. Huh. Okay. So, let's see. I wrote a manifesto. Let me find it. Where is it? That's... I'm trying to find it, but my handwriting is crap. Where is it? Oh no. I don't like rereading these events. But I'm looking for my manifesto. Please, I desperately need this. Please, it'd be very funny content. Please, that's not content. That is not content. Well, this is technically content, but it is not the specific content I'm looking for. Please. Here it is. It is from January 20th, 26th, 2020. I'm changing the title. This is a just chatting stream now. Not just dance, just chatting. Those are not the same categories. Okay. Okay. Hello. Oh no, you can see the roots of my hair. Like, look at that. That's bad. I need to, like, re-dye my hair or just decide I don't care. I'm in between. But, okay. So, January 26th, 2020. This is what I had to say. I distinctly remember being very sick while writing this. Okay. The greatest flaw of mankind is our own hubris, our pride, our never wavering belief that we are in the right. I'm trying to figure out what that word says. Oh, we innately assume our thoughts are correct, that we are the right and that all else are the wrong. We bow and bend before the Almighty. Ooh, okay, that's a fun. Okay, I'm just gonna read this how it is. It's fine. We bow and bend before the Almighty God of our own self-absorbed Messiah complex. There is no room to talk or change or grow if we needlessly ignore and mock others. We can never learn and improve as people, as a society, if we are consumed. Oh, okay, that's not being rude. If we are consumed with constantly praising ourselves. We claim we know best, that the self is the unwavering pillar of righteousness. We fear the unknown, the ignorant, the different, so much that we villainize and demonize other people as fragile, corruptible. Okay, I need to reread that sentence. We fear the unknown, the ignorant, the different, so much that we villainize and demonize other human beings who are just as fragile and corruptible as ourselves. When looking for a bad guy to help our narrative, we do not turn, nor even consider for a second, to look in the mirror. Maybe our own hubris is born from a fear, the fear of what we might see in the mirror. If we were to doubt our own correctness for even a second, we would see the monsters we have become. Our lips distorted from lies and hypocrisies, our eyes soulless and cold from looking past tragedies and not acting, our faces distorted by mindless hate we spread to fulfill our own egos. We only care about the victims when there's an agenda to push, an asset to be gained. We are polluted with endless bickering of trivial and to hide the real problems. We're stuck sweeping in hard. Wait, what is that word? Y'all, my handwriting is impossible to read. We're stuck sweeping hard to digest complicated issues under the rug. There's no gray in this world we're building. The echo chambers we live in only add to the ego. We are right, they are wrong, is the anthem of our lives. Everything as we know would collapse if there was an honest attempt to understand, to reflect, to change our thoughts. It's a sin to even contemplate what the other side believes and wants. We're told what to think, who to hate, what to say. We're told who deserves to live and who to die. We are kept away, discouraged, and forbidden to fathom a compromise. Compromises are the only undignified defeat in the end. We are left in the dark about difficult questions and situations. How afraid they are, who we are. How afraid they are, no, we are, of thinking for ourselves. Why do we pretend to not notice or care about things with no right answers? We would rather be told what and how to think. Thinking is inherently the antithesis of man's pride. For it is with careful thought and free thinking is self-worship destroyed. We must tune out the voice in our own head. It scares us so much, for if we listen, we may just realize our own arrogance, our own obsessive need to be correct. We cannot bear the stress and the trouble of being wrong. So we drown out thought in echo chambers of hypocritical nonsense. Cover the mirrors so we never see the monsters, built of arrogance and worshipping ourselves as gods. I don't know what this happens like every time I take drugs. I just get very like introspective and I don't know how to feel about it. Oh, there's more. Uh, I don't know if this is interesting or not, but it's very interesting to me. Basically, I fundamentally disagree with Ayn Rand's philosophy and beliefs in objectivism. We are nothing with only arrogance. Humans in isolation are merely monsters. That's a hot take that I don't necessarily believe in anymore. I don't know. I've changed a lot since writing this, but there are pieces of this I do agree with. Today's society is losing humility and consideration of the other side. There should be no sides, merely a society of free-thinking individuals. We owe it to society, for we are society. We help others because it helps us. Society and humanity are equally selfish, for they are the same. Is anything truly selfless? Can we ever act for no benefit to us or society? We escalate beyond reason because we are afraid of the what ifs, afraid of having to be the one to back off, afraid of ourselves, afraid of the future. That's the end. Yeah, I live in I just get wildly oh no, okay. Everything's fine. I just dropped something on the floor, it's fine. I just get wildly like introspective and overthinky. More than I already am. Like one time I was on some medication for something, and I was very out of it, and I spent half an hour crying that there were carrots in my fruit snacks and that they should change the label because it was false advertisement because carrots are not fruits. I'm an interesting person. Thank you for noticing. But I don't know. I think, one of the worst things that happens to the development of a better society is when you're no longer when people are no longer able or like feel like they can change their minds. We're stuck in debates where if you ever, change your mind or are convinced, then you're just told you're a hypocrite. We're pushed into, having to stand our grounds on things, even if our minds are changed, and there isn't that like freedom to like listen to other people and truly have a discussion and leave having gained new thoughts and experiences. We only live one life, but there's so many people around us living different lives, and I think we could learn a lot if we just listen to other people and their other experiences. And that's sort of the counter to a lot of like hate and stuff, is just by knowing other people, by its representation is the end to like discrimination or whatever. It's the more we see other people as human, the closer we become. Like a lot of things which I don't know. I feel like more people should be open to letting their minds be changed. But that's really hard and scary to do. It's hard enough to admit to having opinion, and then admitting your opinion has changed over the years is also terrifying. And also when we live in an age where everything we've said is documented, and pretty much everything we've ever believed and said is documented. And what's stopping someone from bringing up a post that you said 4 years ago and be like, you don't agree with this anymore, therefore you're bad because you've changed? When that's sort of like, isn't that what we're supposed to do? In order to become a better person, you have to change. I don't know. I don't know if I'm just making the same point over and over and beating it into the dirt. But it's... I also, just one thing I really despise trying to talk to people is, I've had different experiences than other people, but because I'm younger than them, because I'm a girl, because XYZ reason, no matter what my experiences are, they're wrong. They will never listen to what I have to say, because even if I genuinely know more about the subject and am better versed in it, they have to be right because that's the only way they know the world. It's like, I remember once I came home from school and I mentioned, like a fun fact I learned in my history class about something. And I remember my brother being like, no, that's not true. Where's your sources? Where are your sources? Fact check, fact check. And I'm like, sir, do you want me to get out my textbook from the class I'm currently taking and like read you out the paragraph that says this? Is that the only way you will believe that I know something you don't? Yeah. Um, and it's like, I remember I was talking with my brother about, I forgot the exact thing, but it was something about like, TV and news. And I have done a lot of like work in the like, I know a lot about the news and the film industry because I've taken multiple classes. I have physically been there. I've done a lot of work in that area. And my brother, who has never so much stepped, foot on a news station, was telling me that I was wrong and he knew better than I did, despite me having, at one point I got frustrated because he wasn't believing anything I was saying. It's like, oh, you're making it all up. And I'm like, do you want me to list my credentials? And he said yes. And so I sat there for 10 minutes listing off all of my relevant experiences and all of my credentials that gave me, the ability to, talk about this. In the end, they still insisted that I was wrong. And, it's, some people aren't willing to let other people know more than they are. They don't want to be told that they're wrong, It's easy to, see yourself as the center of the universe. Everyone around you knows less than you do. But that's wrong, It's like, I may know a lot about like how to set up lighting and like camera stuff. I may know a lot about like color correction specifically. I really love color correction. It is my favorite thing in the world. But that doesn't mean I know anything about like programming. And that person who knows a lot about programming probably doesn't know a lot about color correction. And we'll never truly, become, the smartest we can if we don't listen to other people and make an honest effort to engage with their arguments and, take their sides. And it's like, just because I'm 17 doesn't mean that everything I say is wrong. There's probably a lot of areas where there's a lot of areas I don't have experience and things to talk about, but at the same time, that doesn't make my experience any less valid. I have lived my life and I have experienced things. Like, trying to talk to people and be like, oh, these are all the problems I have with online classes, and then they discredit half of them because they took one online class in college 4 years ago. And me, who has been in online classes for 6+ years, obviously doesn't know enough to talk about those because I am a teenager and that, things are different. And the college classes I have taken in the past, apparently, because my experience is not valid in those because I'm a teenager. Truly, truly love that argument. But if they're admitting they won't listen to you because of their age, they've kind of lost, because they've written you off as a potential, they've written you off before they even heard you out, or they don't have anything better to refute your argument with. Or, the amount of times people have been like, haha, what would you know? You're a woman. It's funny. It would be funny if it weren't deeply sad and made me upset. And so we've all lived different lives, and so I hate just discrediting other people for their... People just... It's rude. It's like... Everyone has opinions, and you should really hear them out before you decide whether or not those opinions are ones... It's like, I feel like everyone should have their own opinions on things as long as it's not hurting themselves or someone else. Like you're fine to deep fry pickles if you want to. It's not my thing and I think it's weird and I don't like it, but I'm not going to stop other people from having that opinion. And before I'm like, oh, deep fried pickles, that's a weird, wild, no one should make those. I ate one, It's like with foods, it's like, instead of being like, oh, that's gross, you try it, and then you can decide from there, whether or not you like it. But it's just because you don't like something doesn't mean someone else would have a perfectly good reason of liking it. And it's also just I'm really sick of people taking people's personal likes and preferences as a personal attack. Oh no, the deep fried pickles are a real thing, and I guess it is a metaphor, but at the same time it's fine. It's you're all here for the deep fried pickles metaphor. Just because one person likes pineapple on their pizza doesn't mean you have to. They're not going to force you to eat pineapple on your pizza because it's a personal preference. Just because I don't believe in God doesn't mean I'm going to try to convince other people that they shouldn't believe in God either. That's one of my biggest problems with religious people, is just a lot of them don't know how to respect the fact that I said no. It's last year before the pandemic in one of my classes, I had two very religious classmates. I don't know what that means. I had two very religious classmates. Let's call one Dave, and let's call the other, Evan. Both of them invited me to go to church with them. Thing is, Dave asked me once. We're talking about religion, I don't know why, but they're like, oh, this is what I believe in, and and would you like to come with me sometime? And I'm like, no, thank you. Thank you for the offer, though. Whereas Evan, almost every single day, approached me and said, oh, do you want to come to this church thing with me? Do you want to come to this church thing with me? Here's a verse from the Bible I think you'll like. Or here's a verse from the Bible which will prove your point wrong. Your personal belief about whether or not, I'm like, I don't believe in this. And they're like, here's a verse from the Bible about this. And I'm like, I did not ask. I literally had that Bible verse memorized. Evan, please, can you respect the fact that I don't want this. You know, and it is, at the end, you know, at one point I'm like, man, I would go to church with Dave sometime, purely because the fact he respected my boundaries on that. You know, when I said no to coming to church with him, he took that. He didn't try to constantly berate me to change my mind. And that's part of the thing, is you gotta be able to respect other people. I'm looking up this word because I want to know what it means. And I feel like, oh, okay, I know what word that is. The like, yeah, yes, I know. I'm a big fan of Brian David Gilbert. He's one of my favorite content creators. I just have never seen it spelled out because my brain is absolute monkey. My pickle is a little squishier than you expect. I don't know. As I've said, I've only ever had one deep fried pickle. They're not my thing. I don't get it. I don't get it. But at the same time, I like deep fried okra, and I understand like most people hate okra because it's very weird texture. Brian David Gilbert is amazing. He is honestly, he's an icon, man. He's one of my favorite content creators of all time. You know, back to a topic that I was talking about earlier, you know, that Brian David Gilbert is vaguely relevant to, is I was talking to my brother about Brian David Gilbert, and I'm like, this video series is my absolute favorite that he ever produced. And this is why. And my brother was like, no, it's not. It's this video. And I'm like, oh, have you seen the video I'm talking about? And it turned out my brother had watched maybe 3 of his videos, whereas I have watched all of Brian David Gilbert's content at least 3 times because I desperately need a life. It was just one of those things of, he would not, like, it was just one of those things where it's like, they insisted they were right and that they knew more than me, and despite the fact that I knew more than them, very definedly so. And I just, Brian David Gilbert is such a good name, man. Oh, man. Who does need life? He streams at like, I don't know, it's like 4 a.m. my time, just like biking, and I'm like, man, I'm proud of you. You like go, man. Exercise is so good, man. It's either Brian David Gilbert or BDG. Those are the only acceptable like ways of saying name. I don't know. You know, we can learn a lot from talking to other people, but at the same time, I really dislike when people shove their beliefs on you. In the terms of like, this is the correct belief and you should believe this. I don't like that. Like, I'm, you know, oh, yes. I agree with that. Like, unless it, like, is about, like, physically harming people, like, you know, unless it, like, causes harm to people, like, you know, we should be up for debate, and it's, you know, we should be able to argue, like, oh, you know, my favorite color is red because of poppies, and blank play, like, my favorite color is red because of poppies. And someone else can be like, oh, my favorite color is blue because when I went to the ocean when I was like 7, I found a piece of like blue sea glass and I kept it. Why is my dog like this? Please tell me. Why is my dog like this? Please. my favorite color is blue because I keep a blue piece of sea glass and I have for like 8 years in my pocket. Like, that's fun. I like that kind of thing where it's, but instead if you're going to someone will be like, oh no, your favorite color, red, it's wrong because yellow is just objectively better because dandelions exist. You know, there's two different approaches. And I just... There's one thing I still agree with my, like, fever dream philosophy from over a year ago. Is that, like... A lot of people are afraid of being told they're wrong. Or ever being wrong. Even in the sense of, like, I changed my mind about something, so I'm retroactively wrong about things. And I just think that's sad. I really think it's sad. I don't know. I think we can gain so much more by just listening to other people and just truly just seeing where they come from. And just asking honest questions about things. Like, I'm not religious, but I've had plenty of conversations about other people telling me, like, oh yeah, this is what I believe, you know, the afterlife is going to be like, and, you know, this is my experience with, like, finding my faith. And it's fascinating. But at the same time, you know, they listen to me talk about my... You know, I just want that same, you know, level of respect about my, you know, talking about, like, my, like, atheist journey and what I believe in. And, you know, there's some people who give it to you and there's some people who don't. Like, one of my sisters is really bad about pushing her beliefs on me because she thinks I am just like her. And one time she came over and I showed her the, like, art piece I'm the most proud of. Just in general, just ever. It is the thing I made, which I am the most proud of. I can't show it on stream, though, unfortunately, due to TOS. But it's my favorite thing I've ever created. And I showed it to her, and, you know, it's a drawing with, like, angels, and, you know, like, they got lots of eyes, they got lots of, like, rings and, like, feathers, and they're very pretty, but they're also very alien, you know. And it's just... these angels, you know, with, like, pits of blood and bones. And I showed it to her, and she's like, why are you drawing these things you don't believe in? And I'm like, because they're cool. And then she proceeded to tell me for the next hour that if I was drawing them, I must believe in them. And I just was like, ma'am, I can draw things based on, like, descriptions from, like, the Bible and, like, Dante's Inferno if I want to. Haha, I can draw things that I want to that I don't necessarily believe in. Like, it's like how I can have male characters without me actually being male. Like, her argument was just really absurd, and she just never listened to me when I tried to tell her that I didn't believe that I was atheist, you know? I remember the first time I was like, I don't believe in, like, I don't believe in God, I don't believe in Jesus. And she's like, oh no, you do, you just don't know it. And that was infuriating, because she took my personal beliefs and my, you know, opinion about how the world works and refused that compromise. You know, she refused to accept my beliefs as being just as valid as hers. And, like, I get where people who are sharing religion come from. It brings them so much joy and so much hope and so much comfort, and they want to share that with people they care about. But at the same time, like, there's a difference between, you know, sharing it with other people and being being overly pushy and telling other people that you don't respect their beliefs. And a similar argument with an old friend, yeah. And it's just... there's so many different things in the world, and it's just... what makes your experience of the world more valid than someone else's? What makes your experiences more correct than someone else's? You know, I don't remember what the I think there's a stupid like Tumblr post theory going around that I've seen multiple times. It's like everybody's favorite color is the same color because we all see colors differently. Therefore, you know, our favorite color is all the same color. We just all have different names to describe it because we all see different color differently. And I hate that idea because my favorite color is like pink and red. And that's just a valid, just the same like valid like experience of looking at colors as someone else who's like, oh, my favorite color is like green and dark brown. Like, they're not the same colors, but that doesn't mean that, you know, their appreciation of those colors is not any more like valid as, you know, other people. Like, yeah, I know it makes no sense coming just like a Tumblr like post or whatever, but like just the concept of it just infuriates me because it's like all of us like different colors, and that's okay. We don't have to secretly be seeing the same color to explain why everyone has different favorite colors. You can just explain that with all of us being different people and having different tastes. Like, some people like goth fashion, some people like preppy clothing, and you know, it's not like each of us sees like clothing and styles in different ways. We all it infuriates me, man, because like it's just like, can we just like let people like things that you don't like? Like, one of my least favorite creators is a lot of people's favorite creator, and I accept that fact, you know? Like, I'm not gonna try and convince them that like, oh, this content creator is bad because I don't like them. Like, people could have different tastes and opinions and different experiences. Like, there's one very popular content creator which I don't like because they remind me of a person who was very not cool to me. But I'm not gonna be like, cancel this person because I don't personally like them, because guess what? You know, I'm not a second grader. I can, you know, I can deal with the fact that different people like different things. Yes, someone else finally feels my pain about that stupid text post. Please. I just... Like, I don't like shonen TV. Like, I don't like shonen anime. I really don't. And one of the people I talk to a lot about anime really likes shonen anime, but they don't like slice of life anime or romance anime or, you know, like those kind of anime. They don't like them. They don't like magical girl animes, but I do. And it's their constant insistence that, oh yeah, it has been 2 hours, that's so rude. Oh man, time is wild. You know, they'd insist that the shows I like and the things I found valuable out of my shows weren't valid because they didn't enjoy them. Whereas I'm like, I personally will never watch Bleach. I tried to, I just could not get into it. But I don't doubt that you got something valuable out of it. Yeah, it's been 2 hours, man. Man. And it's just like, I read a book that was like recommended to someone because it meant a lot to them, and you know, they gained a lot from it. I read it and was like, okay, I didn't get anything out of this book except for a better like understanding of the person who recommended me the book. And that doesn't mean what they found in the book wasn't there or wasn't valid. Okay, I need to vent about this because this is the most infuriating thing in my entire life. I'm just gonna... Okay. Never mind. Oh, I don't know what I'm saying. The most infuriating thing I have dealt with in my life, it still keeps me up at night sometimes, and you know, at least once a month, I angrily stew about this. But I read The Uglies. It's a dystopian book. It was really popular like 4 or 5 years ago, 6 years ago, something like that. I read it, and I was like, the main two female characters in this book had so much romantic chemistry. I'm like, excuse me? This is uncalled for. I should have read this book so much earlier, because like these chicks are lesbians. There is no doubt about that. I was reading the book and all I could see was that like romantic chemistry, and it fits so perfectly with the plot, because it's like, oh, the two run away together, you know. I'm gonna finish this rant, and then I have one very important thing to address. Okay. You know, it was so clear to me that these two characters had so much romantic chemistry, and it was frustrating me so much. And I know after I finished the book, I'm like looking up, trying to find someone else who had the same, you know, like, who saw this, because it was so blatantly clear to me. And all I found was one post where they're like, where one person was asking, like, oh, I read the book, and was it just me, or was there lesbian subtext about these two main characters? And all of the comments were like, no, that's not in the book. The author wouldn't write that. That's wrong. That's wrong. You're wrong. Your interpretation of the book is wrong. And I hate that so much, because guess what? Art is subjective. You know, you can read books through different lenses. You can interpret media through different lenses. You know, there's so many different lenses to interpret media through. Just because you read it and you didn't see the subtext doesn't make the subtext any less real. And just because the author didn't mean to add subtext doesn't mean it's not there. That's my rant out of the day. I get so frustrated every time I think about it, because it was just all these people just being like, if the author didn't intend it, then it's not there. Which that's not how things work. Okay. I'm calm. I'm not frustrated anymore. I am calm. I just that's my pet peeve, when people forget that art is subjective, and that everything is, you know, life is subjective, and that art is especially subjective, and that two people can read the same book and have two different interpretations of the theme and what it means, and just people are not a monolith, and we can, you know, based on our experiences and our thoughts, just have different things, you know? Yes. I got so frustrated by these people just denying the thing. It's like, I forget the names for the lenses or whatever, because that's the way you refer to the different, like, you know, it's, you got like the feminist lens for interpreting media, and then you got like the like, is it queer? I think it's the queer lens, or I forgot the exact terms. My brain is a jumble, but it's like, you can read a text and look for different things, and interpret a text in different ways and apply it to different scenarios. Like one of my favorite games of all time, The Beginner's Guide. There are so many different interpretations you can take from it, and there's so many different avenues you can explore with the themes of the game. And that doesn't, just because one person has a different interpretation of what it's saying doesn't make either person's interpretation less valid. The only thing that would do that is, you know, using like text evidence. You know, you just use like evidence from the text to explain how you got to that conclusion, and explain, you know, your thought process and like where you drew from, you know? The Beginner's Guide is, it is. Genuinely, I spent probably like 40 minutes today just talking to my mother about it, and I'm like, Mother, I'm just gonna talk to you about philosophy today. And they're like, okay. Yeah, you know, it's, man, The Beginner's Guide is such a good game. and it's the longer I think about it, the more I gain from it. Perspective. Yes. Good job. I just I love watching other people's interpretations of the book of the game too, because different because different people have different experiences, and therefore they take different things from the game, and I can use, you know, that game is a bridging point to better understand other people and gain things from other people. Like, one of my favorite quotes about the beginner's guide was in a video by the creator's name is like Jacob Geller, something like that, and they make like video essays about games and like other things they find very other things, but a lot of it is through the using games. And it's one of the lines they said about the beginner's guide is like, use a video about what is the price of the game, you know, because it's disputing the whole like how many hours of content will I get out of this game, therefore like, you know, price per hour, you know. And they're basically saying the price maybe should be reflective of the like time it spends in your mind after you finish playing it. Like, and they're specifically referring to the beginner's guide of like, yeah, it took me I spent maybe like an hour or two, you know, playing the game or replaying the game, but I have spent thousands of hours thinking about it. And, you know, maybe we should measure games by how much we think about them, how long they live on in our mind rather than how long we play them, but that's infinitely harder to calculate. Okay. Slight detour. I'm gonna talk about something which I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm out of water. I think games can be art just as much as anything else it can be. You know, I think that anything can be art. I think that's part of the problem with the discussion of is blank art conversations, is everyone has such a different definition for what art is. And it's, you know, there's so many different wide interpretations of what art mean, you know, like what art even is, and to say, is it not art or is so hard when we don't have a concrete understanding or agreement of what art even is. Like, my personal like definition of art is oh, I'm sorry, I'm reading your mind. Like, my personal definition of like what is art is something that you made, something that a person made that inspires thought or reflection or emotion. Like, I'm a big advocate for like abstract art and like I forgot the exact name, but it's just the absolutely like wild art where, you know, you'll see them in the posts of like how art has been ruined, and they'll show like you know, like art then, and it'll be like Monet or like what is the famous painting called the Mona Lisa, and then it'll be like now, and it'll be like the upside down urinal with like spray paint on it, and I'm like, sir, they're both art. Just please stop talking about things you obviously have not looked into it, because it's like the whole like, you know, the like urinal, like the broken like urinal or whatever that was displayed in museums, you know, that's, you know, it was pushing the definitions of what art is, because it's like anything is art in that sense, and it's like even just like displaying it in that context, you know, like made you think like, why is this here? Is this art or not? And that's sparking that introspection, I believe, is like part of what makes something art. And also, you know, it's the whole like counter like culture movement. And there's so much fascinating things in like art history. Man, I love art history. It's really, really, I adore it. There's just so many fascinating layers and so many like rejections of like ideas and like re-evaluating like what things mean and like I hate the whole like dismissal of abstract art because oh it's just squares on a canvas or like someone just like splattered paint on it. Like I could do that, therefore it's not art. And I like a child could do it, therefore it's art. But at the same time, like abstract art is super hard, man. Like how I forgot the name of the painter, but they painted these massive canvases, and they were painted with like stripes of black, not black, wait, no, it's red, yellow, and blue, I think. And like the paintings were titled "Who's Afraid of Red," of like blue, red, yellow. I forgot the exact names because my brain is stupid like that. And there was literal people who were rioting against these things, and it's, you know, one of them ended up getting slashed and cut apart by someone who you know, whatever. And they ended up trying to restore it, and they couldn't match the paint, and it didn't have the same emotion when they repainted it. My phone is telling me I have a timer go off. Thank you. Very nice. Thank you for your contribution. And it's like, they're not just like squares of, you know, it's, there is more to that than just squares of paint. If it was just squares of random paint, then no one would be rioting against, you know, there wouldn't be such visceral hatred for it. There wouldn't be, you know, so much discussion around it. I think that, you know, the art of like discussing something and what it means in some way makes it art. Oh man. And yeah, there's definitely like, you know, just like there's like commercial art, there's also like games which are less art than others. But at the same time is like commercial art is still art. Like Campbell soup cans, you know, the famous painting by Andy Warhol of Campbell soup cans. Like my interpretation of that painting is showing that this utilitarian, like commercial good and the design of it is art. And I don't know if that is the like right, you know, interpretation based on the artist, but I think that doesn't matter. Because I think the artist's interpretation of their work is just as valid as anyone else's, but that's the key. It's just one person's interpretation of this work of art. It's a different lens to view it through. And I think, you know, like critique and analysis, what's the word? Analysis of themes and, you know, discussions about it, about art falters when you go to the like when the only thing you discuss is like, oh, during this the point of time where this poet wrote this poem, they were severely depressed and they're going through a divorce, and therefore this poem is about their divorce. And it's like, yeah, I guess that's one way to interpret the poem, but like, I think you're missing the point here, because art is kind of subjective and like, it's not necessarily autobiographical. I really hate that. I really hate that assumption that everything someone creates is in some way autobiographical. Because it is, but not in the way that like, oh, this poem that they wrote around the time of their divorce must be about their divorce. But more in the way of, this is a poem they wrote, you know, using their experiences and their thoughts and their feelings that they had during this time, and is a reflection of where they were at in that point in their life. But at the same time, it's a mirror of your feelings. Like, I can approach a poem and come away with a different interpretation of it because of my experiences. Like, I wrote a poem that talked about, like, lemon sorbet. And to me, lemon sorbet has a very deep, like, meaning and symbolism to it. But for most people, lemon sorbet is just a weird, quirky flavor of ice cream. And that doesn't make their interpretation of the poem worse than mine. It's just different than mine because they have different life experiences. And art can take different meanings as time passes. Like, I go back to some of my old poems, and it's like, what they mean has changed for me. And it's like, I hate that so many people try to be the person they are forever. And, they refuse to let their interpretations of media change. Like, my favorite book is Fahrenheit 451. It's one of my favorite books. I like a lot of books. And every time I've read it, it's had a different meaning. It's said something different. And it's changed a lot. And it's one of my favorite books because I read it during, like, a really bad time in my life. Whereas all my friends who were forced to read it for school didn't have that same, didn't have that same level of, like, love towards it because it wasn't something they chose to read. It was something they're forced to read. And that's one thing I dislike about the education system is the way it takes great books and sort of forces them to lose the magic to them when you're being forced to read them. But at the same time, I've read some brilliant books which have really, like, changed a lot about the way I think about the world, which I never would have read if it weren't for school assignments. I really hate the way the education system takes reading and removes the pieces that are valuable about it. I really hate the lack of subjectivity in modern education classes because it's hard to teach with subjectivity. It's much easier to tell them the curtains were blue and this represents this character's sadness than to have those discussions about what could this scene mean? What could it mean for these characters? And it's really, really digging into that piece of media the way it should be. Is just, no, our system isn't designed for it because on a multiple choice test, there's only one right answer. There's no room for subjectivity. There's no room for someone to read a piece of media and take out a wholly unique perspective. Because when you're taught a book, you're taught what the symbolism means. You're taught what it's supposed to say. And, like, sometimes that can be helpful, but at the same time, like, that's not the way art should be interpreted. If you read, a lot of this philosophy comes from my, like, background writing poems and poetry, because it's a big thing there of the strongest part about poems is the lack of author. The big part of poems is that interpreting them and, analyzing them and really bringing your personal experiences to them. And reading poems by myself and then reading them for classes is so different because in one, I will be told whether or not my interpretation is valid or correct or whether or not it lines up. Even though I can point to exact lines in the poem and say, this is where this, this is my, like, this is how the text supports my reading of it. It really frustrates me. But there's a lot of things about the modern education system which frustrate me. I need to go get more water. But at the same time, I've been live for 2.5 hours. I don't know, I'm having fun. I sink down into my chair. Hi, Elle. Yeah, I'm gonna refill my water. I'll be right back. I'm dying. I'm dying. I just walked downstairs. Oh my god. I sat at the table with a bunch of people, like, having a meeting and, like, discussing things, and I just walk in, and I go to refill my water bottle, and I just spill water all over the floor. And I'm like, oh no. Oh no, I like my little corner over here. Okay. What was I talking about? I was probably ranting about the, like, evils of education. You know, the death of subjectivity in our society. Something like that. As you can tell, I really liked English class. I liked English classes, or I hated them. There was no in between. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I just felt very embarrassed. Because they turned and looked at me as I came down the stairs with my water bottle and just immediately spilled it all over the floor, and I feel bad, and I don't know. Okay. Oh, okay. Where's the math? Okay. Your school didn't have an English class till later than most? That's upsetting. Because reading and writing is some of the, like, I feel like it's crucial to developing as a person. Because I think media really shapes who we are. Like what TV shows you watch and what books you read. So math carried over when I... Oh! That makes sense, yeah. Oh, yeah. I grew up reading, funny story. They actually thought I was illiterate until I was 10. You know, it's the fault of the school system. We're gonna blame that because, I was always in overcrowded schools, except for, like, one bit in high school, but that doesn't matter. And so I would be in classes with, like, 30 kids. And, you know, it was, wait, how old was I? Oh, I need to check. I don't remember. I was in 2nd grade. Wait. Okay, 10. Wait, no, I was, like, 7. I think. Yeah, I think I was about 7. I was, like, 6 or 7. And they thought I couldn't read because, you know, they take me over and, like, hand me a book and be like, see Spot, run. Spot is a dog. Spot, Sally jumps and runs. You know, it was like that. And they're like, oh, read this. And I'm like, no. And they're like, oh, can't read. And they bring me another book and I'd be like, cats say meow. Dogs go bark. Chickens lay eggs. And they're like, oh, read this. And I'd be like, no. And they're like, okay, you must not be able to read. And it's, you know, it's a super simple, like, very basic, you know, English stuff. And it's meant to, like, teach, like, adjectives, you know. They're designed to teach, you know, the connection between, like, nouns and verbs. But the thing is, I didn't want to read them. I was very capable of reading. I was just like, no, that's a waste of time to read those because there's nothing there. And so they're like, oh, must not be able to read because I refuse to read. And they never asked me, like, oh, why won't you read these? And then, you know, because I learned how to read from playing games like Animal Crossing and Harvest Moon and, like, Wind Waker. My favorite games were Animal Crossing and Harvest Moon and, you know, like, things like that. So I was constantly reading because those are, like, pretty much entirely, like, dialogue-based games. Like, it's pretty hard to go about them without reading. And there was also the, I don't know how common this is, but, our school, would have the, like, 6th graders who were, like, 11 or 12, you know, read books with, like, the like, 6 or 7-year-olds. And one of those days, I went and, you know, the books, I remember the book title very thoroughly, and it was, A Day at the Beach. And I went to read it, and I'm like, the day at the, and I just looked at beach, and I'm like, I don't know how to say that for the life of me. Like, you ever looked at the word beach? It's spelled weird. I wouldn't know how to pronounce it if I'd never seen it before. And this 12-year-old just looked at me and was like, you can't even read the word beach? This is awful. Get out of my party. You're so dumb. And, you know, that transferred over, and it's like, you must not be able to read. And reality, I did know what beach meant. I knew exactly what it meant, because it's used in, like, Animal Crossing and Harvest Moon. And it's just, and I knew the word, like, out loud. I knew the word beach out loud, but in my mind, the written word and the spoken word had not connected yet. I have that. I have a big problem with that, with a lot of words, where, you know, the spoken sound of the word and the written version of the word in my brain are registered as two separate words. And so sometimes I have to, like, flip a switch to remember how to, like, say a word because I know how it's written. But knew how to read extremely well. And then it was one of my older sisters who was like, oh, have you read this book before? And they handed me an Amelia Bedelia book. And basically, these books are built around homophones, I think. And, you know, it's like Amelia Bedelia is this, like, clueless maid who's given these lists of things to do. And it's like, I don't remember very many examples. But, like, one of them is bake a tea cake. Or, like, bake a coffee cake. And they literally bake a cake with, like, coffee or, like, with tea. And it's like, oh, no, that's not what that is. You know, it's like that. And I read those and I'm like, wait, you're telling me books can be fun? Because, like, before, you know, I go to the library and I just look at the pretty pictures because I have always been an absolute sucker for gorgeous things. Oh, man, I adore them, man. Pretty pictures, weakness. And I'm like, none of the books anyone had exposed me to before had ever had anything to say. They'd never had any interesting plot. They never had anything in it except for see Spot run. Spot runs fast. And that just wasn't hitting. That wasn't doing it for me. Because I grew up, you know, having, like, books like Terry Pratchett read out loud to me. And Terry Pratchett is just hilarious. I grew up being surrounded with being read these, like, really interesting plot-driven books, and then all the ones I was given were, like, boring. And so I refused to read them. And then another series, my sister showed me. I'm actually going to grab them because I have a collection, because I want to get them all, because I have a problem. A big nostalgia problem. I just have a few, but the Magic Treehouse series, because it was the first, like, like series of books that I read that treated me like I had a brain. They had plots that were interesting. They had characters, they had mysteries, and they didn't necessarily spell everything out for you. And I read, like, almost the entire series. I remember, I talked about this series all the time with my friends, because I remember from one of my birthdays, I got 2 copies of the same book. From the series Blizzard at the Blue Moon. I had 2 separate friends give me this book for the same birthday. And I started collecting them because I was like, this is what got me reading. This was my first, like, step into actually what became my life, Hi, Fast. And so it was very funny, because this teacher who thought I was illiterate, over the course of a weekend, I came in and I was carrying, like, armfuls of books every single day and reading all the time, and they're like, well, I guess you're not illiterate then. And I started reading so much that it was concerning. Like, I remember in 3rd grade, I read all of the Harry Potter books in less than 3 days. It was like, I read all 7 Harry Potter books in 2 days. I did so much reading. I don't do it nearly as often, but I still just love books so much. And I think that's one of, like, the failings of education systems, is they don't ask the right questions. I wasn't illiterate, ever. I was extremely literate. They just never asked that question to find out why I wouldn't read these books. Why I wasn't doing this. If they had just asked me and I was like, oh, I won't read it because it's too boring, and they'd shifted that, but they don't have the time to do that with every single student because it's so underfunded that you have classes of, like, 32 kids and 1 teacher, and they're expected to, teach all these kids how to read and write and, all these things. And there's not enough time for individual care, especially not when, like, they're doing great everywhere else. Like, when I started getting really depressed, like, the school district didn't do anything about it because I had straight A's. And, I was never given any sort of help ever because, my test scores were good. It didn't matter that I hadn't turned in a single piece of homework, or every single homework piece I turned in, I had messed up something. I never got any, like, teachers asking, like, hey, do you understand this? Do you need help? Because when we took tests, I'd get, like, a 98. And it was just, it's one of the things where I don't blame the teachers, I blame the system. Man. Yeah, when I was in 6th grade, I got put in the class with the problem kids. And it's still up to date whether or not I was put in there because I was a problem kid, or if because I was a good kid and I was supposed to, help round out the, the level of the class. Because it was the super, super good kids. And then all of the problem kids was my 6th grade class. And why are people talking so loudly in my house? I lost the train of that story. Oh yeah, no, and it's just that class, that teacher basically gave up on teaching, to get test scores, and was basically just trying to turn us into people who'd be mildly functional in any sort of society and teach us, like, how to be people who function in society. And there was a lot of problems with the kids in that class because they were just, they were, like, depressed or, like, struggling with things outside of, like, math. And it's, you can't learn math or other things if you're preoccupied with other concerns. And also a lot of them had never had anyone treat them right, because it's always like, oh, you're a problem kid, and so there was never that genuine effort made to help these kids along. And I grew up in an area that was very white, very Christian, very much, if you wear a shirt that exposes your shoulders, then you're going to get shunned area. And there were these 3 kids. They were Mexican, and they smelled like cigarette smoke. So no one in the school would go near them or ever treat them nicely because they were seen as lesser, because the area I grew up in was like kind of racist, but like, and also just, you know, cigarettes were seen as this awful evil, and it's like, these were like 10-year-olds. And it's, you know, through that class and a couple others being friends with them, like, you know, I became friends with these kids who no one else would even give the time of day or be caught, you know, talking to, because they were seen, you know, as lesser. And, you know, I feel like that's part of why my big like motivating philosophy of like talk to everyone and listen to everyone is because I was told one narrative of how these kids were going to be. You know, everyone told me like, oh, they're thugs, they're, you know, they're bad, they're sinners, you know. And then I talked to them, and they were some of the nicest and most genuine people I knew. And I remember distinctly, I got added to a group doc, like a Google Doc, and the name was in all caps, only hackers allowed, and then in parentheses, except Ray. And my name was spelled wrong, but like, I didn't care. And those kids, those friendships I had with them were some of the best I ever had. And I feel bad because it's no one in that area would give them the time of day because of these outside circumstances they can't control. And sometimes I wonder what happened to them, because I haven't spoken to any of them since I was 12, but that's due to like me moving across the country, you know. And it's, you know, that's my big thing of, you know, listen to other people and talk to other people and get new experiences. Because as soon as I moved away from that like super like Christian area where everyone who wasn't that perfect, you know, working father, stay-at-home mother, two kids who are, you know, they go to church the whole family goes to church every Sunday, and they go to activities, and they go knock on their neighbors' doors and bring them cookies and ask like, hey, haven't seen you at church this week, how are you doing? That was, if you didn't fit that mold, then you weren't accepted. You got shunned and treated like you were lesser. And the moment I moved away from that being what was expected of everyone, I became so much happier, because and it just opened up my world, you know. And I grew up in an area that was like super like homophobic and like transphobic, and then I moved away and, you know, started talking to real people and was like, oh wow, guess what, my entire childhood is a lie. The gays weren't made up by Hollywood, they're real people. I remember that epiphany clearly, because it was very funny that moment I had that realization that gay people were real, because I was taught that they were fake. I was taught that no one is gay, Hollywood makes people gay. I truly just wonder where they came up with that one. And it's because like when I was growing up, there was like 3 gay characters on TV at all. And it's like, no, like, gay people are real, man. Gay people are real. I remember this because I had one person, like, I'm disabled. And I remember I was very open about this, and I had one person come up to me and was like, you know, after like 2 months, and was like, you know, because of you, I've realized that, you know, disabled people are people too. Oh, no, wait, no, that was atheist. I was openly atheist, and they came up to me and said, because of you, atheists are real people. And I'm like, yep, they are. And, you know, a lot of people probably in that situation would have got like mad at them and been like, duh, that's so dumb and scummy. And I just thought it was funny because I remember when I had that same sort of epiphany of realizing that, like, oh, they're just like everyone else. You know, they're just as human as me or you. You know, they're not something like foreign or like made up by the media or fake, because when you only have that one narrative given to you, you know, the best way to break down those like misconceptions and narratives is just through, you know, meeting people who break those things. Through meeting people who are gay or bisexual, you know, lesbians, you know, who are trans, you know, that's when that, like, you know, that, like, fear and dismissal, it's made out of, what's the word? It's the thing where you don't know, it's built out of, ignorance. It's built of ignorance and, you know, the fear of the unknown. And it's, as soon as you know someone like that, you can't hate that as a, you know, it's much harder to hate it as a concept. Thank you, Faust. Thank you, Faust. You know, it's... And also, it's like, okay, my biggest pet peeve in the entire world, this is vaguely related, is the whole phrase, hate the sin, love the sinners. I hate it. Especially when it's applied to things, especially when it's used to justify things like homophobia, because that's a part of them. That's like being like, oh, I love Dave, even though he has blue eyes, and everyone knows that blue eyes are evil, but I still love Dave. And it's like, excuse you, it's just such backwards thinking to me, and I hate it so much, because, like, I get it when it's applied to things like, this person's, like, suffering with an addiction, and, you know, I still love them despite the fact they're suffering with this, but that's not the mindset you go about that, because, you know, like, when someone is addicted to something, or, like, you know, the best way to help them is through, like, understanding and getting them treatment, and I just really hate the phrase, and I heard it so much growing up, and I really, really just hate it, and it's like, guess what? It's not your job to, like, fix other people's problems. I hope you know that. You don't have to, like, you know, it's very counterproductive when you're like, love the sin, hate the sinner. Wait, I got it backwards, didn't I? When you're like, love the sinner, hate the sin, and it's like, all people who smoke are bad and awful and will go to hell. But people who smoke, I still love them. And that's just, I don't like that phrase so much. It's like my frustration with the phrase, hearts not parts, to describe pansexual and bisexual, because that's not how that works, and that's just, I hate the implications of the hearts not parts phrase, because, like, yeah, I guess it makes sense, but, like, that's not the difference between bisexual and pansexual. Please, can you stop spreading it like you 13-year-olds? I know it's a catchy phrase and it rhymes, but, like, that's the, no, please. Because, you know, like, I do see where they're coming from, but it's like, you know, pansexual people, the majority of them describe their pansexual I can't say full words. Most people describe themselves as pan because they feel they're more attracted to personalities as opposed to, you know, their attraction being, you know, affected by gender. And bisexual people, you know, are attracted to people of multiple genders. And it's like, that doesn't, I'm sorry, that's like 4 rants that I have deep inside of me today that I've gotten out. I just, you know, it's, I just really, okay, man. There's a lot of stuff from where I grew up, which thinking back to it now, and, like, examining it now, I'm like, man, that was really a toxic thing to, you know, push at people, especially people who don't fit the status quo that you want everyone to. Like, the church I was a part of's justification for why gay people weren't. Okay, in the time from me growing up to now, they've changed their stance on, like, gay people, like, 4 times. And I just, because when I grew up, it was like, gay people aren't real, made up by Hollywood, and are, you know, Satan, you know, tempting people, and it's, you know, sin. And then they changed it to, some people, who are under Satan's influence and because of Hollywood media suffer from same-sex attraction, and they're not gonna go for hell specifically for that, only if they ever think about acting on it. And now they're like, if you suffer from same-sex attraction, then you, as long as you repent and have a stereotypical heterosexual marriage, then God will love you. Which is, I hate the phrase suffering from same-sex attraction. Just say they're gay. I know you're trying to distance yourself from that phrase because it scares you, but just say gay. Please, I don't like suffering from same-sex attraction, because I hate that phrase so much. It grinds my gears. Yeah, okay. And I just, and you know, it's like, one of the big things that like pushed me away from religion in the end was having these people who said they cared about people and they loved everyone tell me that if my best friend was gay and they were getting married, I couldn't attend their wedding because it'd look bad on the church. And you know, that conflicts with the whole like love the sinner, hate the sinner. Wait, I keep messing it up because it's you know, the whole love the sinner, hate the sin message, because if I love this person, I want to be there for them. And it's like, I completely disagreed with the whole, like, I think gay people are valid, by the way. I just have to clear that up. And it just started just grinding I just started getting so upset about things like that, and just, can we please treat people like humans? But yeah, no, it's their justification for why same-sex, quote unquote, same-sex attraction is bad, is against God, is because God, in God's perfect world, your end goal is to have kids. You know, it's to get married. You know, the narrative I was taught is one day you will grow up to be a wife and have kids. That was the only future that they wanted for me. I'm like, I'm a person who doesn't even want to get married. And I hate that whole like philosophy that the end goal of life is, you know, to continue family, because there's a lot of people who are like infertile and can't naturally have biological kids, and you know, there's people for a lot of reasons who really shouldn't have kids due to like really bad like genetic diseases, or like, you know, like it's not, they aren't in a safe space to have kids, and people who don't want kids, and people who don't want to get married. And I have a lot of problems with that aspect of religion, because for me, if believing in a God and an afterlife makes you happy and gives you comfort, then go for it. There's nothing wrong with that. And I actually do a lot of researching into different religions because I think it's so fascinating and cool. But it's when you start using your religion to justify hate towards people is where I get upset. Because, you know, it's especially Christians who use like the Bible and, you know, God as a justification to hate people. Where, well, at the same time, you know, they regularly quote, you know, that one verse in like Matthew, which is love thy neighbor with all thy heart, might, mind, and strength, or something like that. I used to have it memorized because, yeah. I really, you know, it just really upsets me when people use this thing. And, it's like, religion should not be a tool to hurt people. You should not use it to justify wars and murder and, awful things. You should not be, hurting kids because they're not what you expect them to be because of religion. The area I grew up in has one of the highest teenage suicide rates in all of the US. And a lot of it is because of that that built-in culture to that area that, sons are going to grow up, they're going to go spread the word of God, and then they're going to find a nice wife and get married. And that girls, the only thing in their future is to get married and have kids. And if you don't perfectly fit the box of what you're supposed to be, then there is no place for you. It has an especially bad, like, LGBTQI plus, suicide rate there because of the, like, rampant built-in, like, homophobia, and there's also a lot of racism there too. And I'm so glad I moved away when I did at that point in my life, because I was getting extremely more and more depressed living there, and I was constantly having who I am and parts of my, like, core experience, constantly treated like they were my fault. And that, no matter what I did, I couldn't be good enough. Because when I was struggling with my depression, and I'd go to these people who I loved and trusted to give me good advice, and they would tell me, pray harder. If you pray harder, you won't be depressed. If you were just more grateful for the things God has given you, you will be happier. And when that didn't work, I left feeling like it was my fault. If I was just a better person, then I would be struggling. And I do think God can give people a lot of comfort, that ability to, pray and feel heard. I'm not discounting any of that for anyone, because I believe that religion should be extremely personal, because, that's your thing. I was actually watching a video with someone who was talking about what God was to them, and it was the only time I've ever related to that, whatever. And they're like, I see God as that piece of everyone who wants to do good in the world. And, like, I vibe with that vision. If I did, I personally believe that everyone should just try to make the world a better place and, help other people. And I never needed God for that motivation. I don't know. I really need to stop talking about religion. There's a lot of, there's just so many people who are hurt by other people's actions and beliefs. And that's, I feel like people can believe whatever they want to, as long as it's not hurting other people or they're using it as a justification to hurt other people. That's where my problem lies, is just, I was immensely hurt by religion. And, for a lot of years, I was extremely angry about it. And I hated all forms of religion because of how badly I was hurt by this one in the past. But, over the years, realizing and, like, experiencing more of the world and talking to more different people with different experiences, that's, I let go of that anger, I'm still, like, deeply frustrated about a lot of these practices, but I don't, people can be religious if that's what is best for them in that point in their life, I, and I don't know. got a lot of thoughts, man. I got a lot of thoughts. I've been talking for like 3 hours about like stupid philosophy stuff and just the thoughts and experiences. And it's just, I feel like the best way to grow as a person is just to experience more of the world and talk to more people. You know, if that's watching streamers who live on the other side of the world from you talk about, you know, their, you know, what foods they, you know, the foods they eat, or, you know, listening to other people, you know, talk about, you know, their school experiences, or just listening to other people talk about how they were hurt by different systems, and listening to people talk about different religions, and, you know, I love talking with other people about what their thoughts of the afterlife is like, because it's fascinating to me. Because for me, the afterlife isn't something I really believe in. And just hearing these different people's thoughts about what happened, you know, how we got here and where we're going to go after we die, I find it fascinating. I love seeing that side of, you know, different people in the world, and I feel like we're in an age which is perfect for that, because with the internet we can access, you know, information about everywhere. We can talk to people who've had all sorts of experiences. We can, you know, we're living in an age where information and knowledge is readily accessible, yet people are still, they're trying to keep themselves ignorant because they're afraid of changing. They're afraid of being wrong. You know, there's people who won't even admit that other people have different experiences than them. I know I've said this like multiple times tonight, but it just makes me sad. It truly saddens me, people who aren't willing to experience, you know, different people's experience. You know, they're not willing to hear about different people's perspectives and experiences because they're afraid of theirs changing. They're like, one of the biggest things I disliked about religion was they heavily discouraged you from learning about other religions and like going to other people's churches and just talking to other people about what they believed in different things, and just it's truly upsetting, because I feel like learning about other people and knowledge is just one of the most important things you can do. Is that, oh man I don't know, I don't know what I'm even talking about, or if anyone's listening. I'm just going off, man. You know, just like art is subjective, the world is subjective too, and you can't. And who's to say your interpretation of the world is the correct one as opposed to someone else's? I don't know, man. I don't know. And it's also, I just yeah, okay. It's been 3 hours, man. What am I doing? I'm having lots of thoughts all the time, all day. I'm having thoughts all day, every day. And you know, there's a couple years where I was so depressed and just scared of who I might be. I was terrified that I wouldn't be the person that the world's, you know, I wasn't the person that people wanted me to be, people expected me to be. And I was terrified that I wouldn't fit that mold. So for a couple years, I didn't let myself think at all. I didn't let myself sit and, you know, think about anything. Because thank you for the alarm phone. Love you. Because I was afraid that if I let myself start thinking, then I would realize, you know, I couldn't ignore the fact that I didn't meet up with the expectations of the people around me, for me, that people pushed on me. And I just completely stopped letting myself have any sort of thinking. I didn't let myself think about anything. I became entirely obsessed with just consuming as much content as I could, because then I didn't have to think. The only time I let myself think during those times was when I was writing poetry. That was the only time I ever felt like I could be who I was without having to be ashamed of it. And, my shame about who I was a part of the poetry. And since poetry was so subjective, if someone tried to call me out for it, I could just be like, haha, poetry's subjective, haha, haha, I bet you failed your English class, haha. And it's just, that's one of the most sad parts about that time in my life, thinking back, is I could have been closer to the person I am now so much sooner. There was so much growing I had to do in those couple years that I just pushed off. And in a lot of ways, because of my experiences, there's some aspects where I'm a lot more mature about things. And I have had to develop my thoughts and feelings on some subjects so much more than the people around me, my peers and classmates. In a lot of areas, there's places where I'm so what's the word? Let's play a game show. What's the word I'm thinking about? I think it starts with an I. I think that's wrong. There's just so many things which are just underdeveloped. Yeah, so many places, parts of my life and brain which are just underdeveloped, because for a couple of years when I was, when most people were, developing those skills and those, their thoughts and their things, I didn't do that. And so in a lot of areas, friendships and relationships, I'm struggling, with those, because I'm, working a couple years behind. So people have so many more years of practice and experience than I do. Man, okay. I have to go to the bathroom. I will be right back. Y'all think of anything you want to hear my thoughts and opinions about, just drop in chat. Okay. Hello. Who's there? Oh man. I'm trying to put my blanket on my chair so it'll be comfortable, but at the same time it keeps sliding off because it's not meant to be this way. I'm sorry. Am I getting a bit too intense? I like thinking. I'm thinking a lot. jokes. I really don't. Did I close my door? I did. I did it. I did it. I closed my door all the way. I'm proud of me. Woo. Man. Oh, man. You know... You know, life's weird. Life really is strange and different, and it's like, you can try to plan out your life as much as possible, but at the same time, like, things aren't gonna go to a plan. You know, I kind of think life is better if it doesn't go to plan, you know? That sounds bad, but, you know, it's like, my life especially, you know, like, I had a strict plan of, like, I was gonna attend, you know, this super, like, you know, I was gonna attend this, like, school and do, you know, like, science, math, technology, engineering, you know, stuff, and I was gonna work super hard in that and, like, become, like, I was gonna become, like, a biologist or something. A botanist? 1 second. Wait, okay, wait. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. I got it. I got it. Yeah, I was gonna become a, like, botanist or something like that. Because I was super into, like, plants and science, and that kind of science. But then, you know, I ended up having health issues and having to drop out of, you know, school and stuff. But, like, if I hadn't, I don't think I'd be here. I don't think I would have, you know, gone back to streaming if it hadn't been for my health falling apart and me taking, you know, like you know, a filmmaking class. You know, if I hadn't done that, if that hadn't happened, I don't know if I'd be here. And, you know, part of me is like, oh, you know, I'm so glad I'm here. You know, I'm glad I'm streaming, but at the same time, you know, if I hadn't had health issues, I probably would have been very happy. I don't know what you're talking about, Faust. I really don't. I probably would have been really happy pursuing science and math, because I was really good at math. Math was, like, my strong suit, but I don't know if I would have the time or energy to, you know, pursue, like, streaming or, like, content creation at all. I really just... And so part of it is, like, you know, I can sit here wishing all day and all night that, like, things had gone differently. But at the same time, like, this is how things went. This is where we are, you know? We're gonna... You know, you can't change the past, but, you know, your actions in the present can change the future. You can't, you know, set out and decide exactly what your future is going to be. Instead, you know, you gotta... you gotta burp, apparently. Instead, you know, you gotta... You know, you gotta play the game with the cards you're dealt. You know? No amount of, like, complaining to anyone will change the cards you got dealt, you know? I just... Man. Okay. What's a funner, lighter... What's a lighter topic I can talk about? Fashion. Let's talk about fashion. You should just wear whatever makes you happy. And, like... You know, yeah, that's about it. You know, wear what makes you happy. You know, if it doesn't matter if it's flattering or not, because if you're happy in it, that matters way more, you know? Like, that's my, like, biggest, like, realization over the years, is, like, I can dress, you know, the way everyone else does, but I just am not happy that way, you know? I much prefer being able to, you know, like, play around with fashion and do all sorts of, try on all sorts of things and, you know, do whatever I want to. Because, you know, I went from, you know, grabbing into a drawer and pulling out the first t-shirt I grabbed to, you know, I can spend, like, hours, like, thinking about what to wear and getting excited and being like, oh man, like, I'm going to the library to do XYZ, and I can spend, like, an hour being like, okay, this shirt would go with this shirt, and these pants, and this dress with this shirt, and this jacket, and this necklace. It's so much fun. It makes me, you know, fashion was something that I didn't care about. You would, Fost. You know, but this, and, like, at the same time, like, is it socially acceptable? I don't know if that matters, you know? Like, I don't think it matters if it's socially acceptable. I'm constantly, like, overdressed for things in real life because I think it's fun. Because I spent, like, a year and a half wearing exclusively business casual workwear. And I think it's fun. Getting super overdressed for things is fun. Yeah. I just, man, I had, you know, fashion, was one of the things which, like, pulled me out of a really bad, like, time in my life. Because I had a time in my life where I was just super depressed, going through a health issue junk, and, you know, I was just, there was nothing I looked forward to, you know, nothing that got me out of bed, you know, there was nothing I, you know, thought about that was fun. I just kind of existed in a void of pain. I know I said I wasn't going dark again, but bear with me. But in this, I started watching, like, fashion YouTubers, and I saw how much they loved clothes and makeup and how much joy it brought them, and I'm like, may as well try it. And I started spending, like, 2 hours, you know, picking out an outfit and, like, poorly doing makeup just so I could go, you know, walk to the public park and sit on the swing for half an hour, not interacting with anyone, and come back. And, you know, eventually, you know, makeup and fashion started becoming something that just brought me joy. Like, when I'm having, like, a bad day or whatever, I'll go put on, like, a bright red or, like, hot pink lipstick, because just seeing that just makes me happy, because it's something I chose for myself, and, you know, it's something I have control over. And also, it's fun. It's fun. It's so much fun. That's the thing, is it's so much fun. The people who don't get any fulfillment out of makeup, like, that's fine. That's, you know, everyone gets different, you know, everyone's different. And for me, fashion and makeup became a thing that brought me a lot of joy. And, you know, when I'm having a bad day, and I'll put on a full face of makeup and it'll cheer me up. But at the same time, like, I get people who are tired of people expecting them to, like, wear makeup all the time or, like, dress up. It's like, I need to show y'all. I have a skirt in my closet, and I think it's so fun, but, like, you know, it's got elephants on it. I need to check and see if it's on the camera, because let's see. Yeah, you see, it's got, like, elephants on it. It's so fun. It's so fun. It brings me so much joy. And it's like, part of it is my you know, when people pay attention to me, you know, a lot of people, like, don't dress how they want to because they're afraid of attention, which I fully get. I get pretty bad anxiety. At the same time, you know, it's the amount of joy and, like, happiness and, like, you know, like, courage or whatever I get from like dressing up funky and wearing like stupid looking makeup. It brings me so much joy, man. I feel like more people should just. Also, I hate the whole like idea that your appearance should be, you know, to it, the whole like, concept of like you should dress to attract other people. That's dumb. That's dumb. I'm just gonna say that straight up. That's dumb. Dress for yourself, and you know, the people in your relationship, the people who you are in a relationship with, should support you on things that make you happy. If it's like harmless things like wearing like bright blue eyeshadow to Walmart, or like wearing a ball gown around the house, like you should wear what makes you happy, and the people around you should support you. You know, that's the biggest thing. Don't let yourself get into relationships with people who want to change who you are. You know, because they're dating you. They're not dating some fictional version of you that they dreamed up. And don't let other people change you into what they want you to be. Don't, you know, if wearing skirts makes you happy, then wear them. You know, if wearing makeup makes you happy, wear it. If wearing absurdly tall high heels makes you happy, wear them. Don't let someone else change that for you. Don't let someone else dictate what you can and can't do. Unless it's like a work thing, then like, yeah, of course, like you have to follow like dress codes and stuff for work. Like, I get that. But like, in your free time, you should be able to do what makes you happy. As long as, you know, you're being responsible, you know? And it really saddens me seeing the way a lot of people give up parts of themselves to make someone else happy. You know, maybe I push the other far too the other way, because a lot of people say I'm very. Why does my phone keep buzzing? I don't think it matters. I truly don't think it matters. No, it's just if a lot of people find me very intimidating because I have a lot of opinions and I'm not afraid to share them, and I won't back down from my opinions when someone says, "Oh no, you're wrong." I'll be like, "Okay, why am I wrong? Please, you know, explain to me your perspective." You know, like, and it's a lot of like guys, especially, expect me to. Yeah, in the past, I'm talking about specific instances in the past, and not just like general people, but like I've seen it enough to know that it's a trend of a lot of guys don't like the fact I won't immediately change myself for them. You know, if they say, "Oh, I don't like hot pink makeup on girls. I don't like hot pink eyeshadow. I think it looks bad." I'll be like, "Oh, that's your opinion, then don't." I'll be like, "Don't wear it then." Because I like wearing hot pink eyeshadow, and I'm not gonna let them change that for me. Too many times in the past, I've let other people change who I am. And, you know, change the way I live, you know. I had someone who I used to wear like super over the top, like, way too much blush, just obnoxious amounts of blush and glitter and highlight, and my eyeshadows were always like the most like pigmented, like hot pink, like purple, blue, you know, yellow, you know, fun, bright, happy colors. That was my vibe. And they were so glittery and over the top, and there's massive amounts of eyeliner, and my eyebrows were very rarely a natural color. And I let someone change that. I let someone else's opinions of what I should do with my own body change that. And that's one of the biggest things that I regret. because, you know, that was around the time I used to wear like stickers on my face, and they're like, oh, that's dumb. I hate when people do that. And I changed myself. I stopped doing that. I started dressing more normally. I started wearing normal makeup. You know, I did this stupid like normal makeup that I make fun of now. I don't make fun of it. I just don't get the point. Why brown eyeshadow? I don't get the point. Make eyeshadow a fun color, or at least glittery. I don't get the thing about matte brown eyeshadow. I don't get it. But I wore matte brown eyeshadow, and I wore, you know, like boring clothes, and I stopped wearing like necklaces and stuff because they had a problem with it, and that's dumb. Don't let yourself ever do that, okay? You're making this promise right now. If you're watching it, don't let other people do that to you. You know, tell them like nice, whatever your opinion doesn't. Don't let people do that to you. That's the core message. Don't let other people do that to you. You know, but if you are, you know, but if you do like wearing matte brown eyeshadow and someone says, oh, you know, you would look so good with like hot, I'm gonna buy a maid outfit, do it. You know, if that's, you know, I don't know. That's sort of my philosophy of like, yeah, you know, some people will make fun of you, but at the same time, like, if they're gonna make fun of you over something dumb, like, do you even value, does their opinion even matter? Does their opinion hold value for you? Like, I'm wearing cat ears, make fun of me, call me in whatever, you know? Like, you're gonna make fun of someone for, like, the color of their eyeshadow, or whatever, then they don't matter, you know? Because there's more important things to worry about than, you know, making people feel like crap over makeup that literally washes off, or like clothes that I don't. There's bigger problems in the world. Oh man, I don't know why I'm standing up, but I'm standing up. Welcome to my show. Ha. And also, one of the biggest things that I have grievances with is the, like, the whole idea, like, oh, girls can't do that, guys can't do that. Because first of all, like, both of you to assume everyone is a guy or a girl. That's, you know, like, non-binary people do exist, okay? Okay? And they don't just get to sit in the void of nothingness. Like, they can do things. And also, it's just, like, you're discouraging both, like, young girls and young boys from pursuing things that interest them. You're crushing their dreams and wants. For what? I don't get the point. Why can't a boy learn how to cook? Please, they're going to move out at some point. Please let them learn how to cook when they're young. And also, like, let boys wear nail polish and makeup and wear dresses if they want to. Please. They're just clothes. They're literally, it's fine. Let girls cut their hair short. Let boys grow their hair long. Please, just let people be people and experiment with their expression and experiment with their interests and stuff. Faust, I'm so glad your mom was hype. My mom was pretty cool too. And I think part of this comes from where I grew up. Because, you know, growing up, one of the few things I got in trouble for at school was cross-dressing. The school I went to had a rule against cross-dressing. Can we just talk about Can we just talk about that, please? Just think about that. It had a rule against cross-dressing. There is just so much wrong with that. I'm just deeply upset. Like, it was literally against the rules for guys to wear skirts and for, like, girls to look like guys. I'm so, like, you know, that's kind of, like, transphobic, you know? I'm just deeply upset. Thinking about it just makes me upset. Man, just let people wear what they want to. Let people experiment. Please. Please, just let people experiment. Like, like, kids are gonna do it anyway, like, I think 90% of the people that I've ever met, have done sort of, like, experimenting with that, Like, I think that's, you know, like, healthy for people. Like, I remember once, my best friend during my childhood broke her left arm, and for the next 2 months, while it was healing or whatever, instead of our normal, like, playing, which was, pretending to be, pretending to be wolves and, like, wrestling or, like, jumping off of countertops, thinking that we can learn how to fly that way, or, like, I don't remember what else we did, but, it was a lot of that. No, we spent the next 2 months, and she would pretend to be my husband, and we would roleplay, not roleplay, we would just play, just pretending to be, like, husband and wife, like, in the middle of the war. And I think that's part of, like, kids growing up, is just experimenting with that, that form of expression. And the way the, like, culture where I grew up and the people where I grew up and the, the rules of the school literally forbidding that, it made me upset, because, like, when I was 9, I wanted to dress up as Link from Legend of Zelda, and I looked at the rules that they handed us for Halloween, and it said no cross-dressing, smiley face, or something like that. I looked at that, and I was like, didn't see. I'm like, I'm like, I got in trouble with that. I probably would have got, like, detention from it if it weren't for the fact that I was, like, a straight A student. I just think that's so frustrating, because, like, it's dumb. It's dumb. Let people wear what clothes they want to wear. It doesn't matter. Please. Please. This is my argument with the world. I'm just... It's so, like... just makes me upset. A lot of things in the world make me upset, but there are a lot of things I really love about the world. Like, I really love just children. I don't actually like children, but I love, like, the way children experience things. And I love the, like, questions they ask and the like, interpretations they have of different, like, books and so many things. And I also love just kids who dress themselves, because, man, it's so fun. Like, you can tell they're just putting on what makes them happy, even if it is, like, a onesie with a tutu on top of it. Like, you can tell that 5-year-old is just so happy with that choice. When I was, like, 10, the peak, I think this was the peak of my, like, fashion experiment. When I wanted to get dressed up, I'd put on, like, flare jeans, mini skirt on top, and then one of those t-shirts that's, like, the long sleeve shirt with the short sleeve on top. And that was me dressing up. And it made me so happy. And, like, yeah, of course, like, it looked ugly, but at the same time, like, I'm 10, let me wear what I want to. Man. I really hate the expectation that people get dressed for other people. Like, people expect you to be like, oh, if you dress that way, nobody will date you. Well, that's not why you dress. That shouldn't be the point of getting dressed, is to, have someone else find you attractive based on an arbitrary set of standards. You should dress how it makes you happy, and, people who will love and care about you, they should just love you no matter what you wear, and just, see that you're happy wearing what you wear. I can you tell that I've spent my time in alternative fashion circles? Probably. I don't know. I really hate, it all comes down to this one thing. I hate how the world and, like, society doesn't let people change. Because if you change your mind on anything, then you're a hypocrite. If you wear, like, goth clothes for a couple years, and then you start wearing, like, over the top, like, sweet, like, Harajuku fashion styles, then you're a hypocrite. You're, like, betraying, you're just doing it for attention. I hate that. I hate that, because guess what? You change as a person all the time. All the time. All the time. I'm not the same person I was last year. I'm not the same person I was 2 months ago. Please, just... Why do we have to keep pretending to be the same people we were before? Why can't we let people change? Like, yeah, of course, if you say something hurtful, and, a few years ago, you still need to apologize for that, yeah. I totally agree with that. But if I hate the whole, like, digging into, like, people's past videos and being like, oh man, look at you've changed your content style, you're betraying yourself, you sold out for money. And it's like, maybe they have. Maybe they just changed as a person and changed what interested them. You ever consider the fact that people change and audiences change, and the best thing you can hope for as a content creator is if you've got a successful young audience, that they will grow with you. That, they probably will, eventually grow out of your content. But at the same time, like, maybe they won't. Like, Captain Sparkles has been on the internet for so many years. I only started watching Captain Sparkles relatively recently, but people are allowed to change, and yep, that's, as you can tell, that is a thought I have. I don't know. Man, there's so many things that I wish I could go back to, like, when I was a kid and just be like, let's do it just for fun. Because, like, when I was 12, I desperately wanted to shave the side of my head and dye my hair bright red. I had pretty long hair at the time. Not super duper long, but it was pretty long. And I wanted to dye the last, like, 2 inches of it like a bright cherry red. And, get a side shave. And no one would let me. And really, truly, just, like, it's hair. That's the biggest, my thing of, it's hair. It grows back, you can cut it and it'll grow back. So let me, as a 12, I really just want to go back and be like, just let the 12-year-old have a bad, weird haircut for a couple years. It'll be fine. Just, I really don't like the way some adults treat kids as if they don't have any agency. you know, that they can't make choices about things. Because in some areas, no, children cannot make informed decisions at all. But when it comes to things like haircuts and like clothing, I don't get the point of like mothers dressing up their kids and like picking out outfits for their kids. And it's like, let them dress how they want to. Let kids, you know, make those choices of like what they want to wear or who they want to hang out with or like how they want to spend their time to a certain degree. Like, kids aren't dumb. They just don't have a lot of life experience, which can make them very, very like uneducated and make a lot of poor decisions in areas. But that doesn't mean they're like, no kid cries for just no reason. There's a reason. It might not make sense to you in your life experiences, but it makes sense to them, you know? Kids crying that like, oh, the ice melted. They're crying because, you know, that's not how they thought the world worked, you know? And that's a process of growing up, is, you know, having to get lots of new experiences. And also just like, I really don't like people who just write off little kids completely as if they don't have thoughts or anything valuable or whatever. It's like, that's my biggest pet peeve being a kid. Um, one of my biggest pet peeves, you know, being a kid, was I would try to talk to people and then they just completely ignore me because I was younger than them. And it's like, excuse me, please, can you at least... It really upset me the way that no one would treat me as if I was worth their time. And, you know, it's one of the reasons why I try really hard with my, like, nieces and nephews to, you know, be involved in their lives and talk to them and, you know, that sort of thing. Because when I was their age, none of my extended family members had any sort of time for me. I was always seen as, oh, there's the annoying kid who's just really young and stupid. And, you know, I'll listen to my, like, nephew tell me all about, like, Subnautica, because he knows so much more about the game than I do. He's, you know, he may be like 10, but he's got so much knowledge in some areas, and it's... If you write off kids completely, like, they'll remember that. They'll grow into adults. It's like, I may not enjoy, like, kids. I don't really like spending time with kids. You know, all my friends, you know, would do, like, babysitting stuff, and I'd be like, nope, not for me. I don't enjoy that. But, you know, just because I don't enjoy it doesn't mean it isn't worthwhile and valuable, and I like spending time with... Because they'll remember that when they grow up. They'll remember, you know, adults and older people in their life who actually did talk to them and pay attention to them and care about them. Because, you know, I was brushed aside by a lot of people, and, you know, it really upset me. And, you know, I don't know, man. I think that, you know, we should really spend... You know, just because I don't like kids doesn't mean that, like, I'm gonna, like, kick them, you know? That's not how that works. It's just, like, people who, like, don't really like dogs. It's not like, oh, I hate dogs, and, you know, every time I see a dog, I start glaring, you know? It's more like, they're not my preferred thing, but, you know, when a dog comes up to you asking for pets, you still pet the dog sometimes, you know? I really think there should be more respect for, like, children and their thoughts and opinions. Because just because they haven't lived through a lot of of experiences doesn't mean that their experiences won't have something valuable. I don't know. Okay, that's been nearly 4 hours of me rambling. I think we're gonna stop here. I I will be live tomorrow. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I've got a really fun stream planned for tomorrow. And so I hope to see y'all later. Thank you for listening to me for like 4 hours, just rant about like who knows what. Okay. And bye.